I have a system that helps me survive in a zombie apocalypse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351 Male Hidden Weapon. The female zombie was still eating the corpse carelessly, as if she didn't care about the two people at all. Wan Kyushu and Qi Zilan looked at each other, but did not act rashly. Then, the bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie and the meat tank zombie howled and rushed towards the female zombie. Things like spying should of course be done by the clone. After all, the other party is also a level 5 zombie, and maybe he has some special abilities. There is no need to take risks. However, the two of them did not stand there and watch the show, but observed the female zombie, hoping to infer the other party's ability from her reaction. The female zombie did not move until the two zombies were about to rush to her. Suddenly, she turned around and jumped up, kicking out two fierce kicks. The bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie flew backwards and quickly got up from the ground, but a slight dent could be seen on its chest. That kick was really heavy. Even my bronze-skinned and iron-boned body could hardly block it. It seems that she is not just a level in vain, but is still quite strong, at least for a level 4 zombie. The meat tank zombie stood up from the ground with great difficulty and said while brushing off the dust on his body, "Fortunately, my fat helped me block the damage, otherwise, I would have been kicked to pieces." Qi Zilan looked at the two zombies, then at the female zombie who was still eating, with a trace of solemnity in her eyes. What a strong explosive power. What a fast speed. Wan Kyushu nodded. This speed is almost the same as mine at extreme speed, but I don't know who is faster, her or me. Qi Zilan looked at the open area, then at the female zombie. If she is faster than you, it will be difficult to fight this time. At least it will be difficult for us to deal with her in this place. Wan Kyushu snorted. It's okay. We have plenty of time anyway. We can kill her by wasting time. Unless she can teleport and avoid our scan, she will die today. Qi Zilan nodded. Then, the bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombies and the meat tank zombies rushed over again. However, this time, the meat tank zombies did not rush with the bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombies, but fell behind. When the bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombies were about to get behind the female zombie turned around and kicked again. It was as if she had eyes on her back, and she could know the situation behind her very well. Unsurprisingly, the bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie was kicked out again, and this time it was kicked in the head, and even a few teeth were kicked out. At this time, the meat tank zombie behind seemed to have predicted it, and suddenly jumped up, and then blocked the copper-skinned and iron-boned zombie. Taste my cotton belly. The copper-skinned and iron-boned zombie hit the meat tank zombie's belly, paused for a second, and then bounced back at a faster speed. The meat tank zombie actually retreated several steps under this impact. The copper-skinned and iron-boned zombie flew in the air, adjusted his body with difficulty, and then clenched his fists. Take my punch. The female zombie turned around impatiently and just wanted to raise her legs, but found that the opponent was flying a little high. So she swung her right hand and saw 5 hidden weapons shot at the copper-skinned and iron-boned zombie. The copper-skinned and iron-boned zombie was startled and shouted, "Partial hardening." A series of clangs sounded, and the copper-skinned and iron-boned zombie was knocked back again. When he landed, the hidden weapons were still stuck in his body. If you look closely, you can see that there are 5 knives, but the knives are curved in the middle and bent downward on both sides. The bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie pulled out the hidden weapons and threw them on the ground. Fortunately, I was almost stabbed to death. Your plan didn't work. The tank zombie responded. Although I couldn't hit her, at least I know one of her abilities. Qi Zilan looked at the hidden weapons, then looked at the intact hand of the female zombie, and asked uncertainly, was it her fingernails that she shot out just now? Wan Kyushu nodded. Yes, and it's very hard and sharp. If my clone hadn't hardened its body, it might not be able to block it. Moreover, it seems that her nails are renewable, which means that it won't affect itself if it is fired casually. Qi Zilan frowned. This strength, plus the speed, when she fired it just now, the power is not much different from ordinary bullets. She is really a tricky guy. Wang Qiaiyushu moved his body. It's my turn to take action next. These two clones can't test anything. Qiaiyuzilan held up the Dragon Slayer spear. Do you need my help? Wang Qiaiyushu thought for a moment. No, let's see how fast she is first. You watch from the side and see if you can find a suitable opportunity to attack. Qiaiyuzilan nodded. There is no way. Speed is a disadvantage, especially for this kind of speed type zombie. If you can't catch up, you can't hit the opponent at all. There is no point in rushing over. A white horizontal stripe appeared on Wang Qiaiyushu's forehead, and the next second she disappeared directly on the spot. Only the dust raised along the way revealed her whereabouts. The female zombie seemed to have noticed it, turned around suddenly, and then the nails in her hand, swish, extended and blocked above her head. With a ding sound, a knife appeared above the nails, and the one holding the knife was Wang Qiaiyushu, who suddenly appeared in the air. Wang Qiaiyushu held the soul-breaking knife, and was a little surprised. I didn't expect your reaction to be so fast. How about this time? After saying that, he kicked out, and triggered the equipment characteristics, to kick out a perfect kick. The female zombie's nails suddenly broke at the root and shot towards Wang Qiaiyushu. She herself pulled back instantly, and dodged Wang Qiaiyushu's kick. The nails hit the dark skirt, making only a ding-ding sound, and then fell to the ground, because of lack of strength. After Wang Qiaiyushu landed, she looked at the dark skirt, which only had a few white marks on it. Fortunately, this protective gear is strong enough. In this way, I can do it boldly. After saying that, she rushed over again. The female zombie looked at the corpse of the hill zombie, and then looked at Wang Qiaiyushu and the other 3 zombies who had been watching the show. She didn't run away, but went straight to meet them. However, while meeting them, the nails of her 2 hands were like a machine gun, continuously firing at Wang Qiaiyushu. At the beginning, Wang Qiaiyushu didn't bother to care. Later, because there were too many nails shooting at her, she could only use the soul-breaking knife to knock the oncoming nails away. However, the speed of these 2 was too fast, so in the eyes of Qiaiyuzilan and others, they could only see the flying dust. In addition, there was the clang sound made by the collision of nails and knives. Chapter 352, Sneak Attack Failed. It was not until the 2 of them met that they would reveal their figures for a moment, because they were blocking each other's attacks, but they would soon disappear again. When they appeared again, they were in another place. However, the female zombie seemed to have only nails as a means of attack. After discovering that firing hidden weapons could not hurt Wang Qiaiyushu, she no longer fired, but used her nails to attack and resist. Of course, occasionally, she would unexpectedly extend her nails while blocking the attack, trying to hurt Wang Qiaiyushu. Unfortunately, under the protection of the dark skirt, this was naturally a useless effort. Although Wang Qiaiyushu had not been able to hurt the female zombie, she was not in a hurry at all. Anyway, there were plenty of physical medicines, and the worst thing was to slowly consume the opponent. Moreover, the opponent was a level 5 speed zombie, and she was lucky to be able to fight with the opponent at level 4. If she had not obtained the extreme speed ability of the white-browed tall-legged spider, she might not even be able to catch up with the opponent. At this time, Qiaiyuzilan began to hide, and slowly moved towards the place where the 2 were fighting. Although the 2 were very fast and their locations were erratic, they were still within that range. He watched for a while, then looked at Qiaiyuzilan. Now you know why I didn't let you shoot. Qiaiyuzilan nodded. I was afraid that I would accidentally hurt Sister Qiaiyushu. He was choked for a moment. If you say so, it's not wrong. Qiaiyuzilan looked at them who appeared and disappeared, and then looked at the little spider. I wonder if the little spider can catch up with them? He smiled. Let the little spider try and you'll know. Qiaiyuzilan thought about it, held the little spider, and handed it to him. Yes, then you can send the little spider over, and let it help. The little spider struggled quickly. This was too much of a compliment to it. It was clearly a fight between gods, and a rookie, like it would be lucky to be left with dust. If it got hit, it would probably die soon. He shook his head. It's just a joke. Little spider is too low level. It's impossible for him to be as fast as them. Besides, little spider would have been killed in an instant, so he'd better stay here and watch the show. QIU Zillion nodded and looked at Little Spider again. Little Spider grows too slowly. It would be nice if he could grow into a big spider someday. If he were as big as that big spider, he would definitely be able to help. Little Spider was also a little frustrated. He patted Little Spider's head. Growth can't be rushed. It always takes time. Just like you can't become an adult all of a sudden. As long as you give Little Spider enough time, he will become a big spider. By then, he will not only be able to help, but also protect you. Little Spider's eyes lit up instantly, and then he nodded. QIU Zillion thought for a while. Okay, I was too impatient. But, if Little Spider grows up in the future, I won't be able to hold him anymore. Hearing this, Little Spider buried his head in her arms, and rubbed it for a while, and QIU Zillion laughed again. He looked ahead again. During this time, neither of them stopped, still attacking and defending each other. However, one of them had protective gear on her body and the other was too fast, so after fighting for so long, there was no substantial progress. Then, there was another round of attack and defense, and the two retreated. The female zombie fell to the ground, splashing dust all over the ground. However, the next second, her brows frowned, stomped her feet on the ground, and suddenly disappeared again, appearing in the distance. QIU Zillion quickly showed up, pointing the Dragon Slayer spear in her hand forward, and she didn't have time to retract it. She glanced at the female zombie in the distance. This sensitive perception plus this terrible speed is really annoying. She had been standing here without moving before, just to wait for the female zombie to come to her door. After all, the place here is so small, and the frequency of the two of them fighting is also high, and there will always be a time when she will fall in front of her. As a result, she finally waited for an opportunity. However, before the Dragon Slayer spear was stabbed out, the opponent had already noticed it first, and jumped away directly. So, the attack she waited for so long just fell into vain. This time she did not tell Wan Qiushu in advance. After all, Wan Qiushu only fought back and forth with the opponent, but could not force the opponent to come over. Moreover, if it was too deliberate, it would be easy for the opponent to notice. Who would have thought that it was dodged in the end? Wan Qiushu glanced at the female zombie and suggested, she should have so many tricks, why not try your bubbles? As long as you can trap her for a short time, then I will smash her into the ground, and you use sand traps. In that way, she can't run away. The female zombie can only run, but not resist, so if she is caught, it's a dead end. This is why the female zombie chose this open area, just to prevent being caught. QIU Zillion thought about it. This method is okay, but can you force her over? She is too smart. I guess she won't be fooled easily. Wan Qiushu said directly, unless she doesn't want to fight anymore, there will always be a chance, as long as you are prepared. QIU Zillion nodded, began to crab, and kept spitting bubbles from her mouth. Transparent bubbles began to float up to the sky, but they stopped moving. After reaching a certain height, the female zombie looked at the bubbles. Although she didn't know what they were, the alertness in her eyes was obvious. At this time, Wan Qiushu suddenly chopped her head with a knife. Don't look around during a fight, otherwise you will die easily, don't you know? In a hurry, the female zombie could only raise both hands to barely block Wan Qiushu's attack. However, she couldn't block Wan Qiushu's kick, and was kicked out directly. Wan Qiushu fell to the ground, moved her body, and breathed a sigh of relief. After fighting for a long time, I finally got a kick. But wait, there will be more later. The female zombie was kicked, but she quickly stood up from the ground. Although she was kicked far away, she was actually not hurt. After all, Wan Qiushu's feet had not been strengthened or anything. Suddenly, Wan Qiushu appeared above the female zombie again, and attacked as before. The female zombie seemed to be prepared, and did not even take the knife, but disappeared from the spot, and appeared in the distance. Wan Qiushu fell to the ground, and pointed the soul-breaking knife at the other party. Don't run away, let's continue to fight for 300 rounds. If the female zombie really ran away like this, then her previous work would be in vain, which was absolutely intolerable. The female zombie glanced at QIU Zillion in the distance, and not only did she not run away, but she attacked again. Chapter 353 Improvement Methods. Wan Qiushu was relieved immediately. I'm not afraid that you won't fight, I'm afraid that you'll run away. Then, the two of them started fighting again. However, the female zombie seemed to be on guard against Kyuhyuzelin all the time. Sometimes, she would rather risk being kicked by Hwang Kyo-shu than dodge towards Kyuhyuzelin. Hwang Kyo-shu was also a little helpless. Although it was psychologically very pleasant to be able to kick the other party, it didn't cause much damage. It would be great if she could use the soul-breaking sword to hit the other party, but the other party was always on guard and didn't give her any chance. Kyuhyuzelin thought about it and directly controlled the bubbles to slowly approach the place where the two were fighting, while she herself remained in place. Of course, this was also very exhausting for her. Hwang Kyo-shu naturally knew this, but she still pretended not to see anything and concentrated on fighting with the female zombie. Just now, she had discovered that if she drove the other party too deliberately in a certain direction, it would attract the other party's attention. So now she must not reveal any flaws. In the attack and defense of both sides, Hwang Kyo-shu and the female zombie gradually switched positions. The female zombie glanced behind her. Kyuhyuzelin was still standing there, and there was still a long distance from here, so she was not so vigilant. However, she did not completely let down her guard, but now she needed to concentrate on dealing with Hwang Kyo-shu. During this process, Hwang Kyo-shu kicked successfully many times. Unfortunately, the female zombie was well prepared, and each kick was not far away, let alone being able to kick to Kyuhyuzelin. Once again, the female zombie successfully blocked Hwang Kyo-shu's soul-breaking knife. At the same time, her body was tense, ready to meet the kick that followed. As long as the kick was not far away, there would be no big problem. At this time, Hwang Kyo-shu suddenly showed a smug smile on her face. Try this, instant burst. After saying that, she kicked fiercely. She had not used the instant burst before, just to wait for a suitable opportunity, and also to let the other party relax his vigilance, thinking that her kick was only that strong. With a bang, the female zombie looked unbelievable, and then her whole body flew backwards. Hwang Kyo-shu did not stop there. She stretched out her arm, and then inserted the soul-breaking sword into the ground to fix it. Then, her arm retracted, and the soul-breaking sword inserted into the ground pulled Hwang Kyo-shu over. She wanted to put her hand on the female zombie, but in that case, the speed of the female zombie flying backwards would slow down, and it might escape. The female zombie flew backwards for a distance, and before she had time to adjust her body shape, she suddenly found herself rushing into a large bubble. She looked back, and saw that Kyuhyuzelin was still far away. So how did this thing come from? She couldn't figure it out. Kyuhyuzelin saw that the female zombie finally fell into the bubble, and she was relieved, and then she put her big claws directly on the ground. Sand trap. This time the sand trap did not extend to the surroundings in a large area, but spread forward in a straight line, and the destination was exactly the bubble, where the female zombie was trapped. The female zombie didn't have time to think about it. Her nails instantly grew longer, and she cut through the bubble, and prepared to run away. Although she didn't know what the other party had in mind, she didn't want to test it with her body. At this time, Hwang Kyo-shu just came over and chopped down with a knife. Don't even think about running. The female zombie just came out of the bubble, and in a hurry, she could only use her nails to resist, so she was instantly pressed down by Hwang Kyo-shu's great force. At this time, the sand pit just came to the bottom. Snap, the female zombie fell in, stirring up a burst of sand, and her body began to sink. However, the female zombie suddenly fired her nails, forced Hwang Kyo-shu back, and then pulled herself out of the sandpit. Then, it was as if she was walking on flat ground, and she rushed out of the enlarged sandpit in an instant, and stopped when it was safe, looking at Hwang Kyo-shu and Kyuhyuzelin with lingering fear. The two of them were also a little confused at this time. They spent so much effort, but the result was just like this. Hwang Kyuhyuzelin looked at the sand trap again, and could only see some shallow footprints on it. She can escape like this? He exclaimed. This is much better than those so-called light skills. Maybe if you give her a leaf, she can really perform the trick of crossing the river with a reed. Hwang Kyuhyuzelin said directly. Don't praise the other party here. You have been watching for so long. Have you thought of any solution? He replied. Isn't your method just now good? Hwang Kyuhyuzelin said speechlessly. Don't joke. Didn't our method fail just now? What's more, she is wary, and it won't be so easy, even if she wants to do it again. He laughed. I'm not kidding. Although your method failed, it can still be improved. Moreover, although she is wary, she will also look down on you even more. After all, you worked so hard to set up the trap, but she seemed to have entered a no man's land, and could enter and exit freely. Wang Qiuyushu looked back at the car. So, what is your method? He couldn't help swallowing. He could almost feel a substantial murderous aura coming towards him just now. He quickly said, doesn't she like to cross the river on a reed? What do you think would happen if what she stepped on just now was not sand, but a landmine? Wang Qiuyushu thought for a while. If it was a landmine, it would have exploded. No, the footprints she left just now were so small, she must not have used much force, so she should not be able to trigger the landmine. He shook his head. Shallow footprints do not mean no force. On the contrary, she needs to burst out with powerful strength in an instant to break free from the shackles of the sand trap. Because she burst out too quickly, it was like a dragonfly skimming the water, leaving only a little trace. In fact, the sand underneath was under a lot of pressure. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. Then the question is, the sand trap is simple, and if it is true as you said, if she lets down her guard, then it is not impossible for us to recreate the scene just now. But, how do we get the most critical landmine? It seems that there are no landmines in the warehouse. He smiled and said, when we first came, didn't she give us a gift of landmines? There should be more than just these landmines in this place, so I have asked Zilan to look for them. As long as we find the landmines, we will use this to return the gift to her. Wang Qiuyushu stretched his body and rushed out again. Then let me hold her back. The female zombie seemed to be sure that Wang Qiuyushu and the other person were only capable of this, and she did not run away, but instead came to meet them. So, the two fought again. Considering that Qiuyushu's efficiency alone was too low, he simply controlled the meat tank zombie to use his body to detect mines. This was also the only role he could play. Chapter 354, Landmine Trap. The meat tank zombies trudged along the place where the explosion just happened, but found nothing. Qiuyushu used sand traps to search, but landmines are dangerous goods after all, so she was also very cautious, not wanting to be blown up into the sky. Then, the copper-skinned and iron-boned zombies also joined in. After a while, there was a sudden bang, and the meat tank zombie flew directly into the sky, and one of its legs was directly blown off. Qiuyushu looked at him. Did your clone die in the explosion? He shook his head. It's just that the leg was blown off. It's not dead yet. However, there should be a lot of landmines in that area. Qiuyushu quickly arrived there and started to activate the sand trap. As the sand separated to both sides, the landmines below slowly appeared. They were all the trigger type landmines, and there were quite a few of them. It seems that the base once wanted to make a big news here, but I don't know why they gave up, or they simply didn't use it. In short, these landmines are now cheap for them. Afterwards, the sand buried the mines, and used the continuous movement of the sand in the sand trap to transport them to a distance, and stopped only after reaching a certain position. Because she was worried that the mines would explode in the middle of the journey, Qiuyushu was also very careful when doing this. After completing it, she blew bubbles again, and sent the bubbles to the position above the mines. Wang Qiuyushu has been fighting with the female zombie, but there is still no progress. There is no way. Everyone's speed is about the same, and it is difficult to kill each other. Although the female zombie occasionally looks at Qiuyushu, she doesn't know what Qiuyushu is doing. In her opinion, even if she is trapped by those bubbles again, she can escape faster and will not make the same mistake again, so there is no need to pay extra attention. Finally, Wang Qiuyushu seized the opportunity again and kicked the female zombie towards Qiuyushu. It seems that everything is the same as before, and it is the combination attack of bubbles and sand traps. Therefore, the female zombie's eyes are not only not afraid, but also have a hint of expectation, as if she wants to see the two of them with surprised and disappointed expressions. However, this time Wang Qiuyushu did not rush over again, but stood still. You are right. She really underestimated the enemy. She really took us for fools. Who would use the same trick twice? He laughed. If she didn't take us for fools, she wouldn't be fooled. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to lure her over. At this time, the female zombie was trapped in the bubble. Although she was curious why Wang Qiushu stood still instead of attacking her, it seemed unimportant to her. She looked at the ground, and it was indeed that kind of sand-like thing, but it was a pity that it could not trap her. The female zombie's nails stretched out, pierced through the bubble, and fell down. But her body had already taken a forward posture, so that at the moment of landing, she could rush out and get rid of the sand-like ground. However, as the female zombie fell, the sand suddenly moved quickly, extending to both sides, revealing something underneath. The female zombie felt the movement under her body and looked down. Why did the exposed disc-like thing look so familiar? By the way, she had seen many humans installing this thing nearby. And, as long as a zombie steps on it, it will cause an explosion. The car was also hit by the explosion, but unfortunately it failed to blow the car apart. However, she remembered that there should be no such thing in this place. How could it be? A glimmer of enlightenment flashed in the eyes of the female zombie. The explosion just now, the desertified ground, and Wang Qiushu who did not follow, all connected together. However, it was too late to understand now. When the female zombie stepped on the landmine for the first time, she subconsciously wanted to escape from the range of the explosion with her speed. Unfortunately, there was more than one landmine nearby. As a result, a series of landmines exploded instantly, turning the place directly into a deep pit, and the female zombie was blown to pieces, and even her complete body could not be found. Wang Qiushu patted his ears. So many bombs, and no one said a word. My ears are almost deafened. He was stunned for a moment. Is it very loud? Oh, we were in the car, and didn't hear any sound. I was in such a hurry just now that I forgot to remind you. Wang Qiushu shook his head. Forget it, I won't bother with you this time. However, it's a pity that the body of a level 5 zombie was blown up like this. Otherwise, a lot of crystals should be squeezed out. He nodded. It's a pity. Fortunately Zilan killed one, and she should be able to upgrade to level 5 soon. I just don't know if she can inherit the other's ability. Wang Qiushu responded, but I didn't expect to be able to deal with 2 level 5 zombies at once. And to be honest, these 2 level 5 zombies are not very difficult to deal with, they are relatively simple. He smiled. That's because one only knows how to eat, and won't resist at all, and the other only has a level, and the strength doesn't match at all. If a real level 5 appears, it will be difficult to deal with. But now I'm not afraid. Wait until I upgrade your equipment to level 5. Then I can kill them at will. Wang Qiushu walked towards the car. So can we leave now? He drove the car over. Of course. We are ready to retreat. We don't see any zombies around here. Maybe they were all eaten by the female zombie. After Wang Qiushu and the others got into the car, he suddenly saw a lot of red dots appear on the scanner. Although the level of those red dots was very low, they moved very fast. He turned the car around and said, it seems that the explosion just now has attracted the attention of the base. They sent people to check the situation. Because only by using a means of transportation can such a large number of red dots move quickly. It is almost impossible to say that it is a group of low-level speed-type zombies. Wang Qiushu seemed to have not yet had enough killing. Isn't that perfect? We wait on the side, and then we can take care of them as well, and replenish our ammunition depot by the way. He shook his head. There's no need. These vehicles move so fast, and it's obvious that they are lightly equipped. I guess they didn't bring much equipment. I even suspect that they would just take a look from a distance and then retreat. Secondly, we will be heading to the base soon, so there's no need to alarm them now, lest they set up all kinds of obstacles here to stop us. Although he could just rush in, that would be too troublesome. And it's hard to say whether the base will deploy any weapons of mass destruction at that time, so it's better to stay hidden. Wang Qiushu put down the hammer of the earth after hearing that. Well, since we didn't bring anything, it's not worth it for us to do it. Chapter 355 Big Misunderstanding. After the car left, it started wandering again, so that the computer could continue to collect various resources. With the help of the vacuum cleaner, the zombies could squeeze juice faster. Wang Qiushu and the other person sat on the sofa to rest. After all, they had played 2 games in a row. Although they had physical strength medicine, to replenish their physical strength. They were still very tired mentally. QIU Zillion thoughtfully gave them juice, and then she and Spider-Man drank juice and beer respectively. It was a rare time to enjoy themselves. He checked the information sent by the system. Ding, the host has completed the promotion task and successfully promoted to level 5, and assisted QIU Zillion to be promoted to level 5. New products have been added to the mall. Please choose to buy them. The auxiliary equipment can continue to be upgraded. Fortunately, the small mountain zombie was killed by QIU Zillion. Otherwise, neither of them could upgrade this time. Then, they have to find 2 more level 5 zombies. Although the equipment will be upgraded at that time, it may not be as easy as it is now. After all, rookies are not often available. Finally, new products have been added this time. I hope it won't be the same as before, just an upgraded version of a bunch of old products. Level 5 stamina potion, instantly restores stamina, can only be used 5 times a day. 100 experience points are required to purchase. Level 5 healing potion, instantly heals injuries and lasts for 5 minutes, can only be used once a day. 100 experience points are required to purchase. 9 oxen and 2 tigers pill, primary, can only take 1 pill a day, can permanently increase stamina for 10 minutes. 10,000 experience points are required to purchase. Well, as expected, the previous one is an old product again. The names of the stamina potion and healing potion have not changed, only the vigor pill has been changed to the 9 oxen and 2 tigers pill. Although the price has increased, it is nothing for him now. Then, he continued to look down, and another pill appeared. He couldn't help but be curious, what kind of medicine would it be this time? Transformation potion. Swallowing it can transform people into zombies to fight. Anyone who becomes a zombie through this drug is the host's assistant and is controlled by the host. 100 experience points are required to purchase. The corners of his mouth twitched, and then he clicked on the introduction of the transformation needle and took a look. Sure enough, even the introduction was the same, except that the word injection was changed to oral administration, and the price increased 5 times. However, this thing is not meaningless, at least it is much more concealed. He directly exchanged for one, and held it in his hand. This pill is a capsule type, which means that it will not work, unless it is bitten open or swallowed. In this way, as long as you keep a pill in your mouth, you can transform at any time. However, this requires training to do it. He had seen in a movie before that some thieves could even hide razor blades in their mouths after training, so a small pill is no problem. Wan Kyushu looked at the pill curiously. What is this for? He put the pill in Wan Kyushu's mouth. Hold it and see if you can talk like normal without any abnormality. Wan Kyushu tried it and found that he couldn't do it at all. In the end, he simply swallowed it and said, "No, this is too difficult." The corners of his mouth twitched. "Did you swallow it?" Wan Kyushu nodded. "What else?" "Wait a minute, why is my body a little hot? This feeling, what strange thing did you give me to eat?" QIU Zillion and her sister, even the little spider, looked at him with strange eyes. He didn't know what to say. At this time, Wan Kyushu was surprised. "Hey, why did I transform?" The eyes of several of them became normal. He explained, "This is a transformation drug. Put one in your mouth in the future, so that if you encounter the last situation again, you can directly swallow it and transform." QIU Zillion blushed a little when she heard it. After all, the last thing was too sudden. Wan Kyushu frowned, "But it's so uncomfortable to have a foreign object in my mouth, and I can't help talking. The most important thing is that it will be swallowed into my stomach if I'm not careful." He sighed. "You can only practice more. This can also be regarded as a means of saving your life. After all, there have been previous examples. I think the people in the base should have known that we can transform. Although they may suspect that I hid a transformation needle in my mouth at that time, for the sake of safety, they should not lock us up together again." QIU Zillion nodded. "Well, then we must practice more, otherwise we can only be slaughtered." He looked at them all again. I have to say that the system is still very conscientious. This time, in addition to the transformation drug, there is another product. Zombie attractant. After opening, you can lure zombies within a radius of 10 kilometers. Regardless of the level, it takes 100 experience points to buy it. I have to say that this is a good thing. You don't have to wander around looking for zombies anymore. Just open this and wait for the zombies to come. Combined with the vacuum cleaner and juicer, the experience points are simply rising. Although it says that regardless of the level, there should be no zombies above level 5 in this area, so it is still very safe. Moreover, Wankyashu just needs to kill a level 5 zombie to be promoted, and he can upgrade at that time. Then, there is nothing else. There are only these two new products in the mall. There is no paparazzi suit, and no equality medicine. The paparazzi suit is not very meaningful to him now, and he doesn't need it very much. But the equality medicine is different. It can be regarded as a magic weapon. But since it is not in the mall, it means that his level is not yet reached. Come to think of it, with his current strength, he doesn't need those fancy things. Just rush up and do it. Even if the system puts a bunch of products in the mall, he probably won't buy them. At most, they look good. For a moment, he suddenly felt a little confused, as if he had a lot of money, but didn't know how to spend it. In fact, it seems that there is no point in continuing to kill zombies. The system popped up at this time. You have experience points, but don't know how to spend them. I suggest you donate them to me. He snorted coldly. Don't even think about it. I won't give them to you, even if you want to exchange them for instant noodles. By the way, can't you get some food or drinks in the mall? Like various meats, or drinks, and vegetables, or a full banquet. I have plenty of experience. If there were live poultry or vegetable seeds, it would be even better. The system was stunned for a moment. Why didn't you tell me earlier? How would I know that these are what you wanted? I tried every way to cheat you of your experience points before. He was also stunned. How should I know? Except for the options of mineral water and instant noodles at the beginning, you never gave me any food later. If I knew there were so many delicious foods, would I have to cook for myself? The system said embarrassedly. I saw that you had so much food, and I didn't give it to you, because I thought you didn't need it. Chapter 356 Ordering Food. He waved his hand. No need to say more, just serve the dishes. No, bring out the menu. The system responded, okay. Then, when he opened them all again, he found that there were 3 more categories, namely, fresh food, seeds, and dishes. Fresh food includes all kinds of eggs and meat, and even whole live animals. The prices of each category are different and vary according to the variety. You can choose freely. Needless to say, seeds include seeds of all kinds of fruits and vegetables, and of course, mature fruits and vegetables are also classified in this column. However, compared with fresh food, the prices of these are not low. Considering that it is difficult to find clean water in the end times, it is understandable. After all, the cost of planting is too high. Finally, there are all kinds of dishes. It can be said that there is everything, and they are also classified by country and cuisine, which really opened his eyes. He swiped casually and couldn't even finish reading one of the categories. Wankyashu pushed him. Are you watching something not suitable for children on the computer? He came back to his senses and found that Sister Qiu Zilin and Little Spider were looking at him with that strange look again. He was stunned for a moment and quickly said, no. Wankyashu picked up a tissue and wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth. You're drooling, and you still say no. He took the tissue and wiped his saliva. Really no, am I that kind of person? Wankyashu shook his head. Then what are you looking at? He didn't answer directly, but said, what do you want to eat tonight? Although he knew he was changing the subject, Wankyashu still responded, isn't it the same thing over and over again? Bacon, dried fish, sausage, potatoes, sweet potato leaves. I'm about to vomit. Sister Qiu Zilin nodded together, and Little Spider also nodded. He patted Little Spider's head. You're not going to eat. Why are you joining in the fun? Little Spider quickly ran to the side. He added, besides these, you can order whatever you want to eat. As long as you can name it, I can make it for you. Wankyashu was stunned for a moment, and touched his head. You don't have a fever. Are you too obsessed with what you want to eat just now? Is there something wrong with your brain? No wonder you were drooling just now. How about you take a pill of healing medicine first? Sister Qiu Zilin nodded in agreement. He said speechlessly, I'm serious. Then, He talked about the dishes and other things that appeared in the mall. After listening, the three of them were stunned. Little Spider didn't know how to react, so he also imitated being stunned. After a while, Wan Qiushu suddenly said, "But the price of a dish is much more expensive than the ingredients. It always feels a bit extravagant to eat it directly. Otherwise, we can exchange the ingredients and cook it ourselves." He thought about it. "Then, I'll exchange it, and you cook it?" Wan Qiushu shook his head. "I don't know how to do it." He looked at Qiuzilan again. "You do it?" Qiuzilan also shook her head. "No, I'm so tired today and don't want to cook." Qiuzilan said directly, "I'm still a child and I don't know how to cook." He spread his hands. "That's it?" Wan Qiushu looked at him. "Don't you know how to cook? Besides, you didn't do much today. Don't say you're too tired to cook. Besides, the dishes you cook are pretty delicious." He shook his head. "Although I'm very happy that you praise me. But who wants to cook when there is ready-made takirat? Anyway, I'm too lazy to cook. You guys can do it." The three of them looked at each other, and Wan Qiushu said directly, "Then I want some sweet and sour spare ribs, and some braised pork." Qiuzilan followed up by saying, "I want a kung pao chicken and a twice cooked pork." Qiuzilan finally said, "Then I want a squirrel fish and a cola chicken wing." He took a breath. "You each ordered 2 dishes. Can you finish them?" The three of them answered in unison, "We can finish them." Little Spider also nodded. He thought for a moment, "Since there is so much meat, I'll have a winter melon, tangerine peel and old duck soup and a stir-fried vegetable." Then, he placed the order directly in the mall, which cost a total of 200 experience points. Wan Qiushu looked at him and swallowed. "How long will it take before I can eat?" He took a look. The mall shows that it will take 30 minutes. After all, cooking takes some time. Wan Qiushu nodded and said, "I never thought I could eat these dishes again, and I don't know if they will still taste familiar." He smiled and said, "The taste should not be bad, and there are more than just these dishes. Even if we eat different dishes every day, it will be enough for us to eat for a long time." Wan Qiushu asked again, "By the way, in this case, will our experience points be enough? 200 experience points at a time. It doesn't seem cheap." He glanced at his panel. The experience points were almost 300,000, and he nodded. "Don't worry, it's definitely enough. As long as we are still killing zombies, we don't have to worry about the experience point problem." At this time, Qiuzilan asked, "Brother-in-law Qiushu, you promised me before that you would let me shoot for fun after killing the zombies. You are not allowed to regret it." He was stunned. "It's okay to let you shoot for fun, but one bullet costs 1000 experience points, and we only get 200 experience points for one meal. In other words, if you shoot, it means we eat 5 less meals. Do you think it's necessary?" Qiuzilan thought for a while. "Then I can only eat 1 meal a day, save 1 meal, and then wait for 5 days before I can shoot." He slapped his head. "Children nowadays are too greedy." Wan Qiushu smiled and said, "Don't forget, you promised me to let me shoot 10 rounds in a row." He sighed. "Go ahead, shoot. Anyway, experience points are not such a precious thing." Then, the three of them spent 30 minutes in agony. They never thought that 30 minutes would be so long. This should be the longest 30 minutes in their lives. When the time was up, the system sent a message directly. "The dishes ordered by the host have been placed on the table. I wish you a happy meal." With such a good service attitude, it goes without saying that the system must have made a lot of money. However, thinking about the delicious food that will be eaten later, these don't matter. So, he rushed directly to the dining table. The three of them quickly reacted and rushed over as well. When they saw the full table of dishes, they were all stunned. It smells so good. Then, they began to eat heartily. After a while, Qiuzilan suddenly said, "Brother-in-law Qiushu, I regret it. Shooting is boring. It's more important to eat." Wan Qiushu nodded in agreement. He smiled, waved his hand, and ordered a few more desserts. Chapter 357 Level 5 Equipment. After the meal, the four of them lay on the sofa, stroking their round bellies, waiting to digest the food. The little spider also lay on the sofa with a big belly, but it was full of beer. Considering that it couldn't eat, he specially mixed a few bottles of expensive beer for it. so that the little spider could enjoy it. QIU Zillion lay on the sofa. The ice cream just now was so delicious. I didn't expect that I could eat such delicious ice cream. Wan Kyushu touched QIU Zillion's belly. Your belly is swollen. If you eat more, it will burst like a balloon. I'm different. I can still eat. QIU Zillion touched her belly with a satisfied look on her face. He reminded her from the side, well, eating too much is not good for your health, and eating too much will make you fat. The three of them said to him at the same time, shut up. Then, the three of them laughed together again. He also smiled. Do you want to have a midnight snack later? The three of them said in unison, yes. He waved his hand. Forget it, let's finish the business first. I almost forgot about it. Then, he upgraded everyone's equipment. He had forgotten about it in his hurry to eat. Hammer of the Earth increases the lethality to zombies by 100%. Weight is 100% less than before. A critical hit, 80% chance of instantly killing an opponent with a lower level than yourself. Soul Breaking Knife increases the lethality to zombies by 100%. One hit soul severing. When chopping the opponent's head, there is a 70% chance of instantly killing an opponent with a lower level than yourself. Skirt of Darkness can block attacks from zombies of level 5 and below. Can block bullets from all firearms. Rebound. Whenever attacked, there is an 80% chance of rebounding the opponent's attack. Shoes of Darkness increases movement speed by 100%. Shaping. With every kick, there is a 70% chance of a perfect hit. Sword of Death and Life increases the lethality to zombies by 100%. Doubled. The blade can become 8 times longer. Martial Arts Clothes can block attacks from zombies of level 5 and below. Can block bullets from all firearms. Use your body as a shield. You can form a layer of shield outside your body to resist the attacks of zombies of level 5+1 and below. It can only be effective once a day. Martial Arts Road. Each attack has an 80% chance of a perfect hit. Martial Arts Shoes increase movement speed by 100%. Shaping. Each kick has an 80% chance of a perfect hit. Dragon Slayer increase the lethality against zombies by 100%. Dragon Soul Killer. When attacking the opponent's head, there is a 70% chance of instantly killing the opponent with a lower level than yourself. These equipments have once again increased the trigger probability and lethality, and there are still no new features. However, the bullet that can block all firearms has caught his attention. This feature is amazing at first glance. It is no longer part of the firearms, but all firearms. If it is true, wouldn't it be equivalent to a causal weapon? As long as the opponent's bullet is a firearm, it will definitely be blocked. However, it is not stated above how many times it can be blocked, and it is not thought that it will not be infinitely blocked, so it is better not to be too wasteful. After thinking for a while, he asked again, System, since it says all firearms, then can it also block the bullets from big guns? There was a hint of anger in the system's voice. You will know if you try it? He thought about it and shook his head. Forget it, that bullet is too big. If it can't be blocked, then I'm done for, right? In a sense, it really wasn't a bullet anymore, and its lethality was even more terrifying. Then, he upgraded the host's special suit. The last time he bought it, he spent 10,000 experience points. As expected, this upgrade actually required 100,000 experience points. That's 100,000 points, and a level 5 zombie is only worth that much. And how many meals and barbecues can you eat with that? Although he thought about bargaining with the system, thinking about the system's reply last time, there should be no way to bargain for these. So, he gritted his teeth and clicked the upgrade. At most, he would just kill a few more level 5 zombies in the future. Soon, the upgrade was completed. The host's special suit still looked the same, so he opened the panel to check. Special suit for the host. Tailor-made for the host. You can choose 2 abilities of the assistant every day, and the assistant will not be affected. The host can also give one of the abilities to the assistant, but the host will no longer be able to use this ability. The suit has the characteristics of a non-stick pan, which can resist the attacks of level 5 zombies and below, and can resist bullets from all firearms. It can be upgraded, and the upgrade is level 6 and corresponding experience. In addition to the resistance function that level 5 equipment should have, the available abilities every day have become 2, and his strength can be further improved. Of course, the most important thing is the grant. This means that Zilan can also obtain the extreme speed ability in the future, and Wang Qiushu can also obtain the sand trap ability. As long as it is used well, it will definitely greatly improve the combat effectiveness. At the same time, this also further illustrates the importance of the number of assistants. The more assistants there are, the more abilities they have, and the larger the space for operation. However, he thought about it, and felt that it was good now. It was enough for them to walk sideways in this doomsday, and it seemed unnecessary to find new assistants. Besides, it is not so easy to raise an assistant, so forget it. Since the equipment has been upgraded, it is time to barbecue. Wang Qiushu looked at him. Starting barbecue so soon? Isn't it too early? He replied, eat early and go to bed early. Staying up late is not good for your health. Wang Qiushu shook his head. No, I ate too much just now, and I can't eat too much now. How about waiting a while? Qiu Zillion nodded in agreement. He went on to say, then we can grill it ourselves, grill while waiting, and when it's cooked, it should be almost ready to eat. Wang Qiushu thought for a moment. Do you know how to grill? He responded directly, it's just grilling. It's such a simple thing. Just put it on the grill and turn it over from time to time. Besides, the grilling process is the most interesting. Wang Qiushu nodded. Okay, then we'll grill it ourselves. An hour later, Wang Qiushu looked at the black grilled chicken wings in front of him. Let me make it clear first, I can grill mine. You worked so hard to grill it, you should keep it for yourself. He was stunned for a moment. How do you know I grilled it specially for you? You can't not eat it. Wang Qiushu shook his head repeatedly. What I want is grilled chicken wings, not black charcoal. By the way, you cook very well. Why did grilling become like this? He sighed. I didn't expect grilling to be so difficult. I'd better wait for you to grill it for me to eat, so as not to waste food. Qiu Zillion said directly. Brother-in-law Qiushu, I'll grill it for you. He glanced at the equally black grilled chicken wings in front of Qiu Zillion and shook his head. You should keep yours for yourself. Qiu Zillion snorted. Forget it. Wang Qiushu and Qiu Zillion laughed together. Little Spider took a sip of beer beside him. It was great to drink beer today. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358, The Power of Attractants. The next morning, they got up a little late, mainly because they were too tired yesterday and had a long barbecue last night before going to bed. After packing up, he exchanged for a zombie attractant. This thing is a pool of black liquid, and it is placed in a glass test tube. Considering that this thing is too powerful, he did not throw it into the juicer, so that if it attracts powerful zombies, he can just run away. Before throwing it, he put on a mask first. This mask has been upgraded, and is now a gas mask that can provide all-round protection, and the effective time has also increased a lot. Wang Qiushu asked curiously, what is this? He replied, zombie attractant, which can attract all zombies within a 10-kilometer range. Wang Qiushu nodded and asked, by the way, why are you wearing a mask? Does this thing smell bad? Or is it poisonous? He shook his head. I don't know, but this black thing is not a serious thing at first glance. And it is used to attract zombies. I think it should be an extract of the zombie virus. Wang Qiushu's face changed immediately. Wait a minute. Don't throw it away yet. Where is my mask? The sisters Qiu Zillion also hurriedly put on their masks. They knew how smelly the zombie virus was, not to mention that it was so powerful. The smell must be very strong. After several people put on masks, he smashed the test tube to the ground. With a pop, the test tube broke, and the black liquid inside flowed out. However, soon the black liquid began to vaporize, turning into a black smoke that floated up and disappeared in an instant. Wang Qiushu blinked. That's it? Why do I feel like your experience points have gone down the drain? If I had known, I might as well have bought 2 more buns for breakfast. Qiu Zillion nodded in agreement. Spider-Man was thinking, why couldn't he buy beer? He was also dumbfounded. I thought it was at least liquid. Who would have thought it would turn into a puff of smoke? Solids last the longest, followed by liquids. Gases are the most unreliable. After all, it's just a puff of air. It can't just go wherever the wind blows. How can it spread? At this moment, a clang sound of knocking on iron suddenly came from a nearby house. They turned around and saw a zombie hitting the security net with both hands. The security net seemed to have been subjected to something it shouldn't have been subjected to, and the screws on the wall had begun to fall off. Then, the zombie punched out, and the security net fell to the ground. Then, the zombie jumped directly from the 4th floor with a pop sound. Wan Kyushu looked at the zombie that fell to the ground. Is that an ordinary zombie? He nodded. At this time, the zombie was not dead, but stood up again. However, one of his legs was obviously broken. Then, he limped over here. They were all people who had seen the world, and they were not afraid of even level 5 zombies, so they would not be afraid of such an ordinary zombie. The zombie walked directly past them, and then walked to the place where the glass test tube was broken, and then began to inhale the air, with an intoxicated look on his face. Wan Kyushu suddenly asked, did he look at us with contempt when he passed by just now? Qi said uncertainly, it seems so. He looked into the distance, where many zombies were rushing towards this side frantically. It seems that the effect of this attractant is better than I thought. After all, even the zombies in the house had to break the security net and jump down, and they didn't even care about breaking their legs. Wan Kyushu nodded and asked curiously, by the way, how come Spider-Man is fine? He made way for him, maybe we blocked him? Spider-Man's eyes suddenly became redder, and all 8 legs rushed out. Qi quickly hugged Spider-Man. Don't go. Wan Kyushu kicked Spider-Man directly, and kicked him back into the car. Spider-Man woke up instantly and looked around, wondering who he was, and why he was here. Then, they returned to the car. This was just a test, and now that the effect was confirmed, there was no need to worry about it. When enough zombies came, he turned on the vacuum cleaner and juicer, and sucked the zombies in. The abnormal noise caused by the juicing process did not scare the zombies. On the contrary, they saw a large space suddenly vacated and rushed up one after another. However, I don't know if they were busy sucking air, but they were actually very harmonious, and did not fight. Wan Kyushu couldn't help but sigh. This is really a life of drunkenness and dreamlessness. He smiled and said, this way it's much easier, and the experience points will soar. Wan Kyushu's eyes lit up. Won't it be possible to buy a lot of food? Qi and Little Spider's eyes also lit up, thinking about all kinds of delicious food and drinks. He was speechless. Can you stop thinking about food all day long? Can't you learn from Zilan? Qi looked up blankly. Is it my turn to order? I haven't thought about it yet. He slapped his forehead. Then you guys think about it slowly, and I'll place the order when you think about it. Qi said oh, and lowered her head to think again. He continued to operate the vacuum cleaner and juicer. After about an hour, the attractant was completely ineffective. Of course, the effect was constantly weakening during this process. Then, he sucked the remaining zombies that were fighting into the juicer. After that, he directly turned on the scan, and there was no zombie figure in the scan range. Before, he only cleaned up the zombies in the zombie groups and some communities. For those hiding in the house, he naturally would not knock on the door one by one. But now, even the zombies in the house have all run out. In the next few days, he walked around this area and cleaned up all the zombies here. It can be regarded as the last piece of pure land for mankind. On the way, they finally encountered a level 5 zombie, which was a tank type. However, with the blessing of level 5 equipment, it didn't take much effort to solve it. Therefore, Wan Kyushu was successfully promoted to level 5. In addition, Qi did not obtain the ability of the Zyoshan zombie, but evolved an ability to hide her breath, which can eliminate the smell on her body. In this way, when she is invisible, she will really disappear completely, and her existence cannot be detected by vision, smell, or temperature. Wan Kyushu upgraded the consciousness descent, and can control 2 clones at a time, but her control ability needs to be improved. Chapter 359 Gate. On this day, they were finally ready to head to the base. He looked at Wang Qiushu. "Are you ready?" Wang Qiushu nodded. "Ready." Then, two zombies, one fat and one thin, jumped out of the trunk of the car. Then, the fat zombie rushed forward, but he was too big after all, so he couldn't run fast. The thin zombie jumped directly onto the back of the fat zombie and put his hands on his shoulders. "You run too slowly. I'm afraid you'll be shot in the head before you reach the gate." The fat zombie shook his head. "How can you run fast with this body? You'd better stop talking. Your voice is hoarse to begin with, and now it's even more unclear. It's making my head dizzy." The thin zombie was unhappy and shouted in a shrill voice, "Then what can I do? Don't I have the attractant in my mouth? Come to think of it, do you have any evil taste, so you let me hold this thing in my mouth?" The fat zombie shook his head repeatedly. "Isn't it because I have to block the bullets in the front? How about you block the bullets in the front and I'll hold it?" The thin zombie thought for a while. "How can my small body block the bullets? Besides, your back can just block it and prevent them from finding the attractant." The two zombies, the fat and the thin, are naturally their clones, the bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie and the meat tank zombie. In order to facilitate control, Wang Qiushu did not control two zombies at the same time. The place where the two zombies were going was a big door. To be precise, it was the exit here. The base spent a lot of manpower and material resources to build a wall here. This wall just surrounded this place, leaving only an iron door as the entrance and exit. Usually, the door is closed, and it will only be opened when the plane of the base lures the zombies over. When the zombies pass by, it will close again. I think the base is interested in this unique geographical location, so it wants to use this place to place zombies, and of course it can also punish them. However, this method is tantamount to raising goo. As the number of zombies increases, powerful zombies will definitely be raised, and then a wall will not be able to stop them. The top leaders of the base will definitely not fail to think of this, so it is a bit intriguing that they still adopt such a strategy. It is hard to say whether they want to lure the zombies away, to buy time for development, or to cultivate powerful zombies and then conduct research. There are watchtowers on both sides of the gate, and people are stationed inside. These people are mainly responsible for opening and closing the gate, and also for killing some zombies who want to go out. After all, there are always some zombies who don't have eyes. Of course, if the level of the zombies is too high, then you need to ask for support. Otherwise, it will cause big problems if the zombies here run out. In general, the people here, except for the possibility of danger, are usually very relaxed. Basically, they don't need to do anything, just guard the opening and closing of the door. When the zombies come over, as long as they don't make a lot of noise, there will be no danger at all. With a whoosh, a bullet passed through the forehead of a running zombie, and the next second, the zombie fell to the ground. In the watchtower, a young man with a flat head put down his gun, the 107. An uncle next to him just put down his bottle of wine. "Do a good job. This task is handed over to you." The young man with a flat head glanced at the uncle. "This bottle has been flushed with water so many times. Is there still a smell of wine in the water?" The uncle responded with a swaying body. "You don't understand. This is called wine does not intoxicate people, but people make themselves drunk. This thing is the only thing that can make me live comfortably in this life." The young man with a flat head wanted to say something, but suddenly his face changed, and at the same time, the detector next to him made a beep sound. It's a high-level zombie, estimated to have reached level 4. And the detector shows that there are two. Only one is within the line of sight, and I don't know where the other one is. The uncle immediately perked up. "You watch here first. I'll go notify them. Remember, don't shoot. Those high-level zombies are not something our small watchtower can withstand." The young man with a flat head nodded and slowly put down his hand that was on the trigger. He couldn't joke with everyone's lives. The running meat tank zombie glanced at the flat-headed young man and said, "I thought he was going to shoot, and I was ready to dodge, but he didn't shoot." The bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie on his back said directly, "With your body size, it's hard for you to jump, let alone dodge. If the other party shoots, your body will be full of bullet holes." The meat tank zombie shook his head. "I can't jump. Isn't it because of you? If I hadn't carried you on my back, I would definitely be able to dodge." The bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie patted his shoulder directly. "Do you mean that I'm heavier?" The meat tank zombie snorted. "I checked this morning. 3 ice creams in the refrigerator are missing. Do you dare to say that you didn't eat them secretly? It would be strange if you don't gain weight by eating so many sweets." The bronze-skinned and iron-boned zombie's eyes turned. "Of course it wasn't me. It was Zillion who stole them. When I found out, all 3 had been opened. You know, children can't eat so many frozen things, not to mention girls. Eating too much cold food is not good for the body." The meat tank zombie nodded. "So, you ate it all for her?" The bronze-skin and iron-bone zombie said quickly. "Yes, that's it." The meat tank zombie shook his head. "You should eat less in the future. Eating too much raw and cold food is really bad for girls. Maybe I should add some other snacks." The bronze-skin and iron-bone zombie replied in a low voice. "I know." At this time, the meat tank zombie said directly. "Okay, we are here." Then, he took the bronze-skin and iron-bone zombie and jumped up directly, just landing at the door. The bronze-skin and iron-bone zombie took the opportunity to bite the glass test tube in his mouth, but did not spit out or swallow the black liquid, but held it in his mouth. After a while, the black liquid began to vaporize and floated out of his nose. The meat tank zombie kept hitting the door, but it was a pity that the door was too strong and could not be easily broken open. At this time, a burst of dense gunfire rang out on both sides of the watchtower, directly beating the 2 zombies into sieves. Wan Qiushu stretched his body. "It's a pity that my clone was shot to death like this." He sighed. "Your clone was too thin, and there were not many bullet holes on his body. Mine was different. Those people seemed to be afraid that I would not die, so they kept attacking me." Wan Qiushu suddenly laughed. "Does this count as suicide for love?" He shuddered. "Don't say it. Those 2 clones were both men." The 2 sisters Qiuzilin and Little Spider next to them already looked accustomed to it. Chapter 360. The zombies run wild. On the watchtower, the young man with a flat head put down his gun and wondered, how did these 2 level 4 zombies get together? And they rushed over to do nothing but break the door. With the IQ of a level 4 zombie, they wouldn't realize that they are seeking death, right? The uncle next to him took a sip of water from the bottle. "Who cares? The danger has been eliminated. Besides, these 2 are corpses of high-level zombies. Although they have been beaten to pieces, they can still be exchanged for a lot of resources. Next, we can have a good time again." The young man with a flat head frowned, but he really couldn't figure it out. He looked at the uncle again, shook his head, and didn't think about it anymore. As the uncle said, they only need to defend this place and don't need to worry about other things. Maybe these 2 zombies really lost their minds for a while and ran here to die. On the other side, Wan Qiushu asked, "Are you sure that method will work? Maybe all that energy has entered my clone's body." He shook his head. "It should work. If not, just try a few more times. Attractants are not expensive anyway." Wan Qiushu counted on his fingers. "Who said that? 1 ice cream only has 1 experience point, and 1 attractant needs 100 experience points. In other words, 1 attractant can buy 100 ice creams." Qiuzilion's eyes lit up. His face suddenly became serious. "Forgot what I said just now." Wan Qiushu whispered, "I know, you can't eat so much ice cream and other cold things." Qiuzilion also looked at Qiuzilion. "Did you hear that?" Qiuzilion thought for a moment, and then said to Spider-Man, "You too. Ice beer is cold too." Spider-Man blinked his innocent big eyes. Seeing Wan Qiushu's pitiful look, he sighed. "Except for the raw and cold ones, everything else can be eaten, but you can't eat too much. Otherwise, how about some fruit?" Wan Qiushu shook his head. "Is there anything suitable for summer that is not a frozen dessert?" He thought for a while. "I got it. Grass jelly. Although it tastes good, only when it is frozen. It will not affect the taste, even if it is not frozen." Qiuzilion asked on the side, "Is grass jelly a grass? Can grass be eaten?" He shook his head and placed the order directly. After a while, a bowl of fresh grass jelly was placed in front of several people, and it was the kind that was cooled. Although it was not refrigerated, it still felt cool in the hand. And in front of the little spider, there was still a bottle of beer. Of course, in order to treat everyone equally, the beer was not chilled. Wan Qiushu took a spoon and poked the grass jelly twice. It feels like jelly, but it seems to be more elastic. Is it delicious? He scooped a mouthful and put it in his mouth, then sighed. Delicious. If you don't want to eat it, I'll eat it in a while. Don't waste it. The same goes for the two of you. Just 4 bowls. I can still finish it. When the 3 heard it, they hurriedly picked it up, scooped a spoonful each, and put it in their mouths, and then sighed at the same time. Delicious. Wan Qiushu closed his eyes and felt it for a while, then said, this is really delicious. Much better than those milk teas. There is also a very refreshing taste like green grass in it, which tastes very comfortable. Wow, if it is frozen in the refrigerator, it will be so delicious. He took another bite. Who told you to eat so much ice cream recently? I will let you try the frozen grass jelly after a while. At this time, Qiushu suddenly said, this grass jelly seems to be very similar to tortoise jelly, except that the color is a little different. He shook his head. These two are not the same thing. But speaking of Gilingao, our 2 turtles seem to have grown up a lot. As the saying goes, raise an army for 1,000 days and use it for a day. Qiushu stood up immediately. Don't think about them. He smiled. Then do you want to eat delicious Gilingao? Qiushu swallowed her saliva and hesitated for a while. I want to eat it, but you are not allowed to eat it. He waved his hand. Okay, I'm kidding you. If you want to eat Gilingao, just buy it. Qiushu sat back. At this time, a sound of running was heard, and then a large group of zombies rushed past their car. He swallowed the jelly grass in his mouth. Oh, they finally appeared. I didn't expect there were so many zombies hiding around here. Are they all lured here by the base before, so they have been wandering around here? They had only cleaned up the zombies inside before, and didn't do anything when they got here. After all, the scene of zombies running was too spectacular, and not far away was the wall and watchtower of the base, which would definitely attract the attention of the base. When the zombies passed by the car, they didn't stop at all. They just kept running forward, as if they were in a hurry to do something. Qiushu glanced at the zombies. According to our previous experiments, they will now gather near the gate. Then when the attractant loses its effect, because there are too many of them, they will compete with each other and fight directly, similar to a behavior of grabbing territory. However, the people in the watchtower have guns. Moreover, even if they fight, they may not be able to break the door. He smiled. If the base was willing to spend so much effort to clear these zombies, they would not have led them here. Besides, how many guns and bullets can there be in the watchtower? Can all these zombies be killed? My goal is just to let these zombies mess up. It doesn't matter whether they can break the gate. When the time comes, we will just crash through. Qiushu nodded. However, if the gate is knocked open, the zombies here will also rush out. Will it harm other people? Wan Qiushu patted her shoulder. Don't think too much. This place is so dangerous. No one will live nearby. Even if there are such unlucky people, we can only wish them good luck. After all, we can't stay here forever, just to consider the safety of those who may not even exist. He nodded. Unless we don't want the car and rush out directly, but you know how dangerous it is. Not to mention that we have so many things in the car, and the subsequent actions will also require the car. Qiushu glanced at her sister. Well, safety is more important. She herself didn't care, but her sister couldn't be in trouble. At this moment, there was a sudden boom in the distance, and a large cloud of smoke rose. Several people all looked over, and he quickly closed the car window. It's so noisy, it seems that the base has deployed heavy weapons. Qiushu's eyes suddenly flashed with urgency. We have to leave here, as soon as possible. Wan Qiushu was puzzled. Why are you so anxious all of a sudden? Qiushu explained. What if the base originally planned to lure the zombies here, and then drop missiles or something to kill the zombies all at once? He opened his mouth wide. That would be exciting. Chapter 361. Zombies coming in and out. Wan Qiushu waved his hand. It shouldn't be. Looking at the smoke and explosion just now, the power doesn't seem to be very strong. He shook his head. No, Zilan is right. Since the base has spent a lot of effort to surround this place, it is really possible that they want to eliminate the zombies in batches. Moreover, it's just a piece of land. It can be blown up, and it can even be repeated several times in the future, and the benefits obtained are huge. Wang Qiushu thought for a while, but, do they ignore the survivors here? Also, there will be survivor organizations cooperating with the base. He said directly, those survivor organizations should have withdrawn long ago, and they may have left after the failure of hunting us before, and the survivors should have left too. Even if they didn't leave, what are some survivors in the eyes of the base? Besides, we have been wandering for so long. Have we seen other survivors? Qiushu responded directly, no, it seems that there are only a few of us left here. Wang Qiushu opened his mouth. So, it is really possible that the base dropped missiles here? He sighed. No matter what, we have to evacuate as soon as possible. We'll see how the zombies fight. If not, we'll just force our way in. At most, we'll let the base know that we are out and be on guard. The reason they didn't force their way in was because they didn't want the base to find out that they had escaped. After all, the survivors outside have been around for so long, and if they suddenly ran out like this, they would definitely be conspicuous. Before he was sure, he still wanted to keep a low profile. On the watchtower near the gate, the uncle pressed the flat-headed youth to the ground. Don't shoot. So many zombies suddenly ran out. Something must have happened. If we attract the attention of those zombies, we are all finished. The flat-headed youth whispered. I always feel that it has something to do with the two zombies just now. The uncle shook his head. It doesn't matter whether it is related or not. The important thing is that the gate cannot be opened. Otherwise it will be our dereliction of duty. Are the people on the plane blind? Can't they see where the gate is? The bomb is still thrown at the gate. I must complain to them later. The flat-headed youth looked at the zombies standing still below. Why are they not moving? It looks so strange. Damn, why are there so many zombies running outside the gate? They seem to want to come in. The uncle's face also changed. You watch here. I'll go see if they have called the base to notify them. This time it's really going to be a big deal. Separated by a door, all the zombies inside the gate stood still, with an intoxicated look on their faces. The zombies outside the gate were scratching and knocking frantically, as if they wanted to come in. Such a scene looked extremely weird. At this time, several planes came to the sky above this place, and then fired at the zombies inside the gate. Even though many zombies were killed, the zombies behind still did not share their bodies, but walked forward and stepped on their bodies, as if there was something there that attracted them. The young man with a flat head looked at this scene, and his scalp tingled. He had seen many zombies, but he had never seen such a weird scene. Then, he cursed again. Are those blind people crazy? Just now, a stray bullet hit the gate, then bounced back, and hit the glass above his head. Although the watchtower was made of the strongest material, and the glass was made of bulletproof glass, it did not prevent him from cursing. Most importantly, he looked at the gate. If there are more attacks, I don't know if this gate can hold up. It might be smashed by zombies instead of pushed down by them. After a while, the plane stopped shooting, and began to fly away, dragging rotten zombie bodies. However, the method that was very effective in the past was ineffective for some reason. The zombies still stood there, not even looking at the planes. The planes circled for a while, and finally left like that. The flat-headed youth was a little confused. Leaving now? Just ignore so many zombies? At this time, the uncle came back. They can't care, don't they see, that these zombies have no reaction? The flat-headed youth looked at the uncle. What should we do now? The uncle pointed to the slowly opening gate. Don't they want to come in? Then let them in. The flat-headed youth's face changed immediately. With so many zombies coming in at once, this place can't hold up. They used to bring in zombies in small batches, and even so, it would take several days to digest these zombies. In the early stage, the zombies would wander around and fight each other, and then they would leave and go further away. If so many zombies came in at once, the consequences would be disastrous. Maybe the wall would be destroyed in the process of fighting. The uncle sighed. Who knows? Anyway, we just need to obey orders. As the gate opened, the zombies outside the gate rushed in impatiently and soon stood there, making the same movements as the zombies inside the gate. For a while, the zombies on both sides made the same movements, and there was no sound at all, which looked even weirder than before. The uncle was a little scared. This is really a ghost, and those zombies are not moving. Should we close the gate? The original idea of the base was to close the gate after the zombies outside the gate came in, but who knew that those zombies would not move like that? The people in the base were also confused for a while. What was the point of opening the door just now? However, the variables came soon. About an hour later, the zombies suddenly woke up and started to fight each other, and the scene suddenly became chaotic. Not long after, another plane came over, also carrying zombie bodies, and flew deeper. The zombies quickly stopped and began to chase the plane, one by one, as if they were afraid of falling behind. The uncle breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, as long as the zombies are brought in, we can close the door. I hope nothing will happen. As soon as he finished speaking, the zombies suddenly stopped and ran out of the door like crazy, just like at the beginning. The uncle swallowed his saliva. Is my mouth blessed? The flat-headed young man was also stunned. At this time, the uncle suddenly ran downstairs. No, they have to close the door, and they can't let these zombies out. However, the uncle didn't need to notify. The door was already closed. Then, more zombies ran over from a distance, and the breath on their bodies was even more terrifying. In addition to some zombies that move too fast to be seen clearly, there are also quite a few meat tank type zombies. Chapter 362 4 Clones. As the zombies ran out of the gate, he and Wan Kyushu just returned to the car. Wan Kyushu looked him up and down for a while, and after confirming that he was fine, he said, "Just now I saw you being chased by so many zombies. I thought you were going to be bitten to death by those zombies." He let out a long breath. "Don't mention it, I'm almost exhausted. The title of 10,000 corpses enemy is no longer necessary. I won't use it. The hatred is too strong. Every zombie wants to attack me, and it's fortunate that I run fast that I'm fine." After reaching level 5, the previous title of 10,000 corpses slayer became 10,000 corpses enemy. In addition to being attractive to level 5 zombies, a new function has been added, that is, hatred. However, this function can be manually selected to be turned on. After turning it on, zombies below level 5 will chase him, regard him as the biggest enemy, and are not afraid of life and death. Of course, he can also switch to the deterrence function. However, just now in order to mobilize those zombies, he used this hatred function. Although he was chased by the zombies, he had obtained Wan Kyushu's super speed function in advance, so he was not caught up. At this time, Qiu Zilan said, "I just took a look, and it seems that there are no level 5 zombies. Can those level 4 zombies really open the door?" He nodded. "Well, there are no level 5 zombies, otherwise I can't be so relaxed." However, although the lethality of those level 4 zombies is not strong enough, there are enough of them, and there are also many tank zombies. These are notoriously brainless. When we came back just now, wasn't the door about to close? Those tank zombies will definitely not give up. Wan Kyushu nodded in agreement and said, "However, it's just delivering the zombie attractant to the outside of the door. I don't need to do it myself, and Zilan has to follow me to take risks. If I had known there was no danger at all, I would have directly controlled the 2 clones to go." He shook his head. "No, your clone can't be invisible. Besides, the zombies were not moving at that time. If your clone wanted to pass through, it would be too conspicuous in the zombie swarm. Even if it was not killed, it would attract the attention of the people in the base. And Zilan took you to be invisible, and you stretched out your arm to throw the attractant outside. Didn't you see that I pulled the zombies nearby and didn't dare to show up?" Fortunately, after upgrading, he could get 2 skills at the same time, otherwise he really didn't dare to use the hatred attracting function of that title. Otherwise, those level 4 speed zombies would tear him to pieces. Wan Kyushu thought about it. That makes sense. What should we do now? Those zombies are all heading for the gate, and we don't know if they have opened the gate. Even if they have, we will be very conspicuous when driving, and we can't make the car invisible. He smiled and said, "I just upgraded the car and added the stealth function and traceless driving. This invisibility is not only invisible, but also cannot be detected by any instrument. As for traceless driving, it will eliminate all traces left during our driving, including tire marks and engine sounds. In this way, we can ensure that we will not be discovered." QI urged, if that's the case, let's go quickly. With such large-scale abnormal activities of zombies, I'm worried that the base will bomb first, and it will be too late to leave by then. He nodded, and then drove the car towards the gate. Wang Qiushu looked back at the back of the car, and after a while, he said, there really is no trace at all, not even tire marks, so we won't be discovered. As the car got closer and closer to the gate, it could be seen that the gate was surrounded by zombies. The zombies outside were very calm, while the zombies inside were trying to get out. However, the gate was already half closed, and the remaining half could not be closed, because it was blocked by a tank zombie. Near the gate, there were so many zombies, that it was impossible to get out. However, because the gate and the tank zombie blocked the door, they could not get out. QI looked at this scene and frowned. They not only blocked the door, but also blocked the way out. If we rush in like this, even if we are invisible, we will be discovered by the people in the base. After all, if a large space suddenly appeared in the middle, any normal person would know that something was wrong. He looked at Wang Qiushu. It's up to you next. Wang Qiushu nodded and said oh, then asked, what's left to me? He pointed at the meat tank zombie that was stuck in the door, and then pointed at a meat tank zombie on the periphery. Use your consciousness to descend and control the two zombies. Then one will tear down the door, and the other will sweep away the zombies next to it. I will control two more to help clear the way, and then we will drive over. Wang Qiushu thought for a while, but didn't you just say that it would be conspicuous to go directly there? Wouldn't that still make the people in the base suspicious? He shook his head. The zombies are just crazy, and there are several level 4 zombies going crazy at the same time. They won't be suspicious so quickly. And, as long as we cooperate better, there won't be any problem. Wang Qiushu nodded. Then I'll try it. It may take some time. After all, level 4 zombies are not easy to control. He responded. It's okay. After you control them, just wait for my instructions. Then, he also began to descend his consciousness to control the two meat tank zombies on the periphery. After many failures, Wang Qiushu said weakly, okay, if I hadn't also reached level 5, I really wouldn't be able to make consciousness descend onto level 4 zombies at the same time. It's too uncomfortable. After a while, he let out a long sigh. I'm fine too. Take some healing medicine first. After handing the medicine to Wang Qiushu, he also threw a pill into his mouth. During this time, the situation did not change much. Anyway, the gate still couldn't be closed, and the zombies still couldn't get out. The two of them rested for a few minutes to recover. Then, he said, in a while, my two clones will be responsible for clearing the way in front, and your clone will be responsible for clearing obstacles in the back. As long as our car can pass, it will be fine. Of course, try to act more realistically, as if it's going crazy, because it can't get out. As for the clone stuck by the door, see if you can smash the door. If not, wait for my zombies to come over and help. Wang Qiushu nodded. No problem. He drove the car and started to drive towards the gate. Then let's get started. Chapter 363. Door broken. As soon as the voice fell, the two meat tank zombies on the periphery directly grabbed a zombie next to them and used it as a stick to sweep forward. A burst of crackling sounds rang out, and many zombies were immediately swept up into the sky, and a large space in the middle was also left. Some zombies who were originally standing on both sides were stunned for a second, and then they all hid to both sides. After all, these two were level 4 zombies, and they were in a dominant position here. Some level 4 speed zombies did not want to be enemies with meat tank zombies at all, and they did not know why these two meat tank zombies suddenly went crazy, so they chose to avoid them. After the two meat tank zombies swept those zombies away, they directly scooped up the zombies and corpse fragments scattered on the ground with their big hands, and stuffed them into their mouths. The two of them ate while walking forward, like a real killing god. Taking advantage of this gap, he drove his car to catch up. Since no zombies dared to approach the two meat tank zombies, the empty space in the middle was just enough to accommodate his car without arousing suspicion. However, when the meat tank zombies moved forward, the zombies behind them slowly approached and were about to occupy the remaining space. In that case, the car would still be exposed. At this time, another meat tank zombie imitated the previous two meat tank zombies and smashed around. After smashing those zombies away, he followed and chased after them. In this way, the front and back of the 3 meat tank zombies became a completely empty space, and no zombies dared to approach. Wan Kyushu smiled and said, "How is it? I did a good job this time." He nodded. "It's okay, I came just in time. By the way, how is the gate?" Wan Kyushu shook his head. "No, the gate is too strong and very thick. I regretted sending consciousness to that zombie. Not to mention that he could destroy the gate. He was lucky not to be crushed into a meat paste by the gate." He thought for a while. "It's okay, 1 is not enough, then send 2 more. My 2 clones will be responsible for pushing from the inside out, and your clone will be responsible for pushing from the side." Wan Kyushu nodded. The young man with the flat head was lying on top, looking at the 3 abnormal zombies below, wondering. They seem to be protecting something. The uncle sighed. "There is nothing there. I think they just want to rush out. Maybe these zombies can't get out, so they are anxious. Even the zombie trapped at the gate is getting anxious. I don't think this gate can be defended." The young man with the flat head was shocked. "What should we do?" The uncle smiled bitterly. "What else can we do? We can only watch. We are not heroes who can fight 100. Besides, there are more than 100 zombies below. They can drown us with a mouthful of spit from each of them." The young man with the flat head looked down and stopped talking. The 3 tank zombies moved forward all the way, but under their push, the zombies did become more crazy. It seems that the 3 of them are not so outstanding. When they were almost at the gate, the 2 tank zombies in front swept all the zombies in front of them. However, some high-level speed zombies discovered it in advance, so they avoided this sweep. However, they were obviously unwilling to leave, so they turned around and roared at the meat tank zombie. The meat tank zombie didn't even look at the speed zombies and rushed over, punching the door. There was only a bang sound, and the door didn't move, but there was a slight dent on it. He frowned. "This door is really strong. It seems that we can only push it. It's a pity that this meat tank zombie is only resistant to beating, and its body is not hard enough, otherwise it can be smashed open with fists." After saying that, the 2 meat tank zombies rushed up together and hit the door. This time the dent was a little deeper, but it was still far from pushing the door open. Afterwards, the 2 of them pushed hard together, but there was still no major progress. Seeing this scene, Wan Kyushu did not control his other clone to go up, but was responsible for clearing the obstacles in front of him to prevent the car from being exposed. At this time, seeing this, the other zombies actually rushed up and pushed the door desperately. Kyuhyuzelin couldn't help but sigh. The attractant is so powerful that it drives these zombies crazy. He opened his eyes at this time. "No, this door is too strong. It's hard to push it open just by pushing it." Wan Kyushu asked, "Then what should we do?" He smiled. "I just thought of a good idea, that is to let your clone rush over from a distance, and then use his body to hit the door." Kyuhyuzelin thought about it. This method is feasible to a certain extent. However, if the door is very strong, the clone may be bounced back, and we won't get the result we want. He nodded. "So, the main force hitting the door is not her clone, but our car." Wan Kyushu frowned. "Car? Wouldn't we be exposed then?" He shook his head. "No, when your clone jumps up, it will hit it, and then our car will hit it from below at the same time. With the power and weight of the car, it will definitely be able to knock it open. In this way, even if they see it, they will only think it was knocked open by a huge zombie." Kyuhyuzelin agreed. "This method is feasible, but the door will still leave evidence." He laughed. "The door will be knocked out in a while, and then our clone will rush into the zombies with the door. If the base really bombs the zombies, the door will also be destroyed. If it doesn't bomb, let the clone take the door away, and there will be no evidence left." Wan Kyushu nodded. "Okay, I'll do as you say." Then, the 2 meat tank zombies at the gate cleared the zombies near the door again. The meat tank zombie behind suddenly walked back and cleared the zombies along the way, clearing a clean path. Then, the meat tank zombie suddenly ran wildly along the road. There were some unlucky people on the road who were not afraid of death and were directly stepped on by the meat tank zombie. The young man with the flat head looked at the running flesh tank zombie with his eyes wide open. "What is he trying to do?" The uncle replied. "The door is definitely gone now." The next second, the flesh tank zombie suddenly jumped up and hit the door with a bang. At the same time, the car started and hit the door. Since the two sounds were produced at the same time, it sounded like only one collision. Then, the door held on for a second under this collision, and then flew out and landed in the distance. The zombies were stunned for a moment, and then rushed forward one after another. The car also rushed forward under the protection of the 4 flesh tank zombies. Chapter 364 Leaving. The young man with the flat head was completely dumbfounded. The door is broken. The door is really broken. The uncle was mentally prepared and said directly, "You watch here. I'll go report the situation." The young man with the flat head suddenly grabbed the uncle. "Wait, don't you think this incident is very strange?" The uncle curled his lips. "What's strange?" The young man with the flat head recalled. "First, so many zombies suddenly appeared, and then there were their abnormal behaviors. And that door, such a solid door, how could it be knocked open by a zombie? Moreover, I seemed to hear the sound of a car starting just now. Maybe those zombies were guarding an invisible car." The uncle slapped the young man with the flat head. "Listen to me, there is no invisible car. We didn't see or hear anything. We don't know why these zombies are abnormal. In short, the door was broken by zombies." The young man with the flat head was stunned, but the uncle sighed. "It is said that there is a very powerful team of survivors inside. 4 people killed a group of survivors, and few came out alive. Therefore, this door can only be broken by zombies. If those 4 people ran out, it means we are derelict in our duty. You know the consequences of derelict in our duty. Besides, even the detector did not respond, which means that no car passed by." The flat-headed young man was silent, and after a while he said, "But even if we don't say it, there must be traces on the gate, and the base will find it out." The uncle smiled. "If someone really took the opportunity to go out, do you think they would keep the gate as evidence? If the car didn't crash the gate just now, then we naturally don't have to worry, because there will be no other traces left on it." The flat-headed young man sighed. "I understand." The uncle walked down. "You still have a long life, and there are still many things to learn." Because Wan Kyushu stretched out his arm to throw the attractant, he was a long distance away from the gate. At this time, the 4 meat tank zombies leading the way in front did not seem abrupt. When they rushed to the edge of the zombie group, the 4 tank zombies squatted down and imitated the other zombies to act intoxicated. The car took the opportunity to drive out and away from the zombie group. He looked at Wan Kyushu. "Doppelganger, you take care of this first. I'll go check on the car and choose a suitable direction." Wan Kyushu nodded. Kyuuzilan asked, "We don't know where the base is exactly, so why don't we just go along this road? Since the base was able to build such a tall wall before, this road must be one they often use." He shook his head. "That's why we can't go through here. Think about it, there are zombies everywhere here. Is there any survivors? So, even if this road can lead to the base, it's not the way we should go. Let's take a detour and bypass this place first. By the way, the car has to change its shape to avoid being recognized. It would be great if we could meet other survivors on the road, and we could get some information by the way." Kyuuzilan responded. "Okay, but I think we still have to leave here quickly. There were too many zombies just now, and they were so dense. I always felt that the base was going to take action." He nodded. "That's right, let's speed up." After that, the car began to speed up. After entering a densely packed building, it gradually began to reveal its shape and changed its previous appearance, looking like an ordinary car. Half an hour after the car left the gate, Wan Kyushu suddenly shuddered, and it took her a while to come back to her senses. She didn't look scared, but excited. "I never thought that I would be killed by a missile one day. It was so exciting. The missile almost exploded in my face. First, one of my clones was blown to pieces, and the next moment, my other clone died. The 3 of them." And Spider-Man looked at Wan Kyushu stupidly. Wan Kyushu was stunned for a moment. "What's your reaction?" He thought for a while. "We are worried about you. Maybe you were shocked too much when you died, and were scared crazy, so you talk nonsense." Wan Kyushu's expression froze for a moment, and he said after a while, "No, it's just that. Can you understand that feeling? I guess I'm the only one in the world who can personally experience the feeling of being torn apart by missiles and still alive." He breathed a sigh of relief. I'm glad you're okay. I understand what you mean. It's very unique, right? It's a pity that I didn't have time to control my clone just now. Otherwise I could be the same as you. The missile exploded in front of my eyes. It's really exciting to think about it. Wang Qiuyushu immediately became excited again. Yeah. It turns out that you are the only one who understands me. The two people and the spider on the side silently ate the dog food. He asked again, by the way, how is the gate? Wang Qiuyushu replied, I was bored just now, so I just put the gate next to the clone. Unless the gate is strong enough to withstand that kind of explosion, it should have been blown to pieces. He nodded. That's good. It saves us a lot of effort. By the way, you will sit in the driver's seat later and change your appearance. It should be a brand new appearance that has never appeared before. Wang Qiuyushu was stunned for a moment. Huh? He explained. When we get to the base, there will definitely be people searching. You are the only one among us who can change your appearance at will, so you will sit in the driver's seat and pretend to be a lone traveler. This way you should be able to sneak in. As for what happens after you get in, we will talk about it later. After all, the base knew their appearance a long time ago, and I believe they should be checked in detail. And Wang Qiuyushu's dark skirt has the characteristics of mosaics, which can change its appearance at will, just enough to deal with the inspection. Qiuyushu nodded. Indeed, a car that can drive itself is indeed a bit unbelievable in this doomsday. Wang Qiuyushu held his chin with his fingers. Then what should I become? And I have to wear a suitable set of clothes. Flight attendant? Police? Nurse? Teacher? As she spoke, her clothes and appearance kept changing. Qiuyushu and her sister were stunned. He was also stunned, and then swallowed his saliva. Well, save these for tonight. As a human surviving in the doomsday, it is not appropriate to wear these clothes. It should be loose clothes that will not affect exercise, such as sportswear. Also, it is better to make the face and hair skin a little dirty, as if you haven't taken a bath for a long time. Wang Qiuyushu frowned, but still changed into a new image as he said. He took a look. Well, although it still looks good, it at least looks a bit like a survivor who is struggling to survive. Then, we will set off now. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365. Base Outskirts. After circling for who knows how long, they finally saw another car on the road, so they followed it. After a while, the car noticed them following behind, stepped on the accelerator, and disappeared in an instant. Wang Qiuyushu also wanted to speed up to catch up, but at this time a voice came from her headset. Don't chase. He had just upgraded this headset to facilitate communication. After all, he was not suitable to show up. Wang Qiuyushu was puzzled. Why? He explained. The other party must have thought we were robbers, or at worst they were looking for a target, so they ran away quickly. If we catch up with them, we will either fall into their trap, or be taken somewhere else to get rid of us. They probably won't run towards the base. Wang Qiuyushu was speechless. Do we look like that kind of people? What should we do now? He smiled. Don't forget, we still have scanners. They can't run away. Let's follow them for a while. If we don't encounter any cars going in the same direction later, or if we don't see the base, then we'll find other targets. Since there are survivors here, I believe they shouldn't be far from the base. After all, if you run too far, you can easily be besieged by the zombies. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. Okay, then let's follow them slowly. We have plenty of time anyway. Speaking of which, although there are not many zombies outside, there are still a lot of them. Along the way, they have seen a lot of zombies. Although their levels are not high, there are many of them. Almost every section of the road, you can see a group of zombies, but it's hard to say how big or small they are. He smiled and said, that's right, there are a lot of people outside. Moreover, we have killed almost all the zombies inside, so naturally there are not as many zombies as outside. Another point is that their competition does not seem to be very big, and zombies with slightly higher levels are not common. I don't know if they are not raised by goo or because the survivors are often active, resulting in the killing of high-level zombies. Wang Qiuyushu leaned back in his seat and looked ahead. I can see living people again. I have forgotten how long I haven't seen other living people. 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. It seems that I haven't communicated with people seriously for a long time, and even the most basic communication skills seem to have been forgotten. He sighed. Yes, basically all the people I met were opponents, and there were not many normal people. However, in this end of the world, everyone is busy surviving, and no one has the heart to chat like before. At this time, Wang Qiuyushu suddenly sat up. There is another car in front. It seems that this direction is really going to the base. He nodded. Well, then there is no need to worry about taking the wrong road. The car in front suddenly appeared from the side, but it seemed that the two cars did not know each other, so they kept a distance from each other, but they were heading in the same direction. After walking for a while, Wang Qiuyushu looked at the burned cars on the roadside. Are these people too bored, so they burned cars for fun? He shook his head. No, there is a charred body in the car. I think they should have been killed, and then the body was destroyed. This can explain why the previous car was afraid of us following behind, and the two cars kept their distance from each other. Qiuyushu felt a little strange. Isn't it said that there are no laws now? Since there are no laws and no police, killing people will naturally not be punished. Why bother? He smiled. Maybe they just did it casually. After all, killing people without setting fires would be too unprofessional. Of course, the biggest possibility is that they want to continue to survive. Maybe it is to continue to hide and make it easier to act. After all, once exposed, everyone will be wary of them, and it will not be so easy to succeed. Or it is to avoid being hunted down. After all, maybe there are family members and friends among the survivors they killed. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. That makes sense. After walking for a while, there were more and more cars ahead, and cars began to appear behind them. They were not afraid, so they adjusted the car to a suitable speed and drove forward slowly. Not long after, they finally saw the base. To be precise, they saw the outer wall of the base. It was an arc-shaped wall, much higher than the wall when they came out before, extending to both sides, and it should be a circle. On the top of the wall, there was something like glass. Anyway, there were some mutant zombie birds knocking on the top, but they could not break it. Qiuyushu looked at the tall wall. The base is really big. It seems that they really planned it early. Otherwise they would not be able to build such a complete facility. Wang Qiuyushu nodded and looked forward again. But this convoy is long enough. I don't know how long it will take to get in. After saying that, she then turned on the car music and played a song. Soon, bursts of music came from the car. After all, their car is now a normal car, so all aspects must be the same as normal cars. However, the car in front soon drove to the sides, as if avoiding them. Wang Qiuyushu frowned. What does this mean? Are they avoiding me? Or can we go in over there? But there shouldn't be a passage over there. He glanced at the back, and the car that was following closely behind also retreated and pulled away. It seems that we are not very popular. Even the car behind ran away. Wang Qiuyushu thought for a while. Could it be that they don't like the songs I listen to? Forget it. They really don't know how to appreciate it. At this time, someone in the car behind said, "Where did this fall come from?" Someone else said, "Isn't it? You dare to play songs. Aren't you afraid of attracting zombies?" Another person sneered. "Let them attract. Who asked them to die? Anyway, as long as we don't make any noise, we won't attract the attention of the zombies. When the car in front drives away, we will just rush over, and the zombies can't catch up with us." The others hurriedly agreed. He looked at both sides again, and sure enough, there were scattered zombies coming. It seems that, although we are close to the base, we are on the outskirts of the base, so it is not absolutely safe. Think about it. The base only needs to ensure that the outer wall does not collapse, and it does not matter what is outside. And these survivors have lived here for so long, and they are obviously very familiar with the environment here, so they try not to make any noise, to avoid attracting the attention of the zombies. Wang Qiuyushu's singing directly attracted the zombies, so it is no wonder that the cars avoided it one after another, because they did not want to be affected. Chapter 366. Wang Qiushu's pretending story. He told Wang Qiushu the news. Actually, it was nothing. Not to mention that there were only a few zombies. Even if there was a group of zombies, it would be the same. Wang Qiushu looked at the zombies on both sides and said, "It's really annoying. Why do you bother me? Can't you let me listen to the song properly?" After saying that, he got off the car swinging the hammer of the earth. The people behind were still watching the excitement, but they didn't expect that it was a woman who got off, and she was swinging such a big hammer in her hand. This huge contrast immediately made them feel a little unreal. When the zombies saw Wang Qiushu coming out, they immediately sped up their running speed, and then they were all shot in the head by Wang Qiushu. With these ordinary zombies, under Wang Qiushu's hammer of the earth, even if the characteristics were not triggered, it would still be a matter of one hammer. Then, Wang Qiushu shook the hammer of the earth to get rid of the black liquid on it and slowly returned to the car. The zombies that came later no longer bothered Wang Qiushu, but rushed up and started to eat the corpses of the same kind. Maybe they have seen it so many times that they have learned to distinguish whether their opponents are strong or not. The people in the cars in front and behind were all stunned. They thought that the person holding such a big hammer might not be an ordinary person, but they didn't expect that he could get rid of the zombies so easily. No wonder the woman was just wearing a sportswear without any protection. It is true that people with high skills are bold. Wang Qiushu said, "How was my pretense just now? Did I act like a master?" He was speechless at first, and then laughed. "Well, I acted like a master. Remember to keep your cool look now. A master is serious, let alone a loner like you." Wang Qiushu nodded repeatedly. At this time, a car drove over, and then a man got out and knocked on the car window. Wang Qiushu slowly lowered the car window and asked in a cold voice, "Is there anything?" The man was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "It's like this. Our Daewoo group is recruiting talents recently. I just saw that you are very skilled. I wonder if you are interested in joining us." Wang Qiushu refused without thinking. "I'm not interested." The man's smile froze on his face, and then he smiled again. "Okay, sorry to bother you." Then he left. Then, another person came over. Wang Qiushu was also a little angry. "Are you annoying? I said I'm not interested." The man didn't expect that the other party would react like this before he even opened his mouth, and he was stunned for a moment. Then he said, "The strength of our artillery group can be said to be the strongest among these survivor organizations. I hope you can consider it." Wang Qiushu thought about it and suddenly asked, "Is your boss called Zhang Dapao?" The man was also stunned. "Do you know our boss?" Wang Qiushu nodded. "Yes, that's fine. I will visit your boss when I have a chance in the future." The man was a little confused, but since Wang Qiushu said so, he didn't know what to say, so he just left. Qiu Zilan watched all this quietly in the carriage. "Zhang Dapao, I didn't expect to meet you so soon. That big fishbowl just now, couldn't it be that the masked man got it? If so, it's really a narrow road for enemies to meet." He smiled. "That would save a lot of trouble." At this time, another person came over, but it was a woman. When Wang Qiushu saw the other party, he was stunned for a moment and blurted out, "Rose." This woman was the Rose who escaped from Brother Zhao Pao, but looking at her current appearance, she seems to be doing well. Rose didn't know what to say for a moment, and then asked, "Do you know me?" Wang Qiushu nodded. "I guess I know you, but you don't have to invite me to join. I'm not interested." Rose smiled. "Okay, you can come to the Rose Bar to find me when you have time." After that, she left. Then, a tall and strong man came over. "Hello, my name is Gao Xianxi. I'm the leader of a small survivor organization. We usually support each other and survive in this doomsday. I see that you are alone. If you need it, you can consider joining us." Wang Qiushu looked at the man and nodded after a long while. "Yeah." Gao Xianxi didn't mind. He smiled and left. Wang Qiushu frowned and thought for a while. "This person looks so familiar, but I can't remember him." He replied, "This is the person who told us about the survivor base. It seems that they are doing well. At least they survived to the base and were not captured as materials." Wang Qiushu suddenly realized, "Oh, it's the group of people who snatched the spoils from us." He opened his mouth and finally said, "If you say so, it's not wrong." but they only snatched from us at the beginning, and we sent them later. Wan Kyushu wanted to say something, but someone else came over at this time. So, she didn't say anything, but got out of the car and made a stop gesture to the person who was coming. Then, she walked to the zombies who were eating. A trace of confusion flashed in the eyes of the zombies. It was the first time they saw someone who was not afraid of them at all. Even if they were not afraid, they should have walked away. Aren't they afraid of being bitten by them? Although they thought so in their hearts, they still did not forget to eat. After all, this was the top priority. Wan Kyushu directly swung the hammer of the earth and blew the heads of all the zombies. Although the zombies behind reacted and wanted to run or attack Wan Kyushu, they still couldn't even touch the corner of Wan Kyushu's clothes and were hammered to death. Then, Wan Kyushu pounded the hammer of the earth on the ground and shouted, "I say again, I don't want to join any organization. Whoever dares to bother me again, these zombies will be their fate. I mean what I say." Suddenly, a wave of discussion sounded. "This woman is too arrogant. You can tell at a glance that she doesn't have any brains. When she dies, I don't know how she died. I heard that she seems to be alone. I don't know which corner she ran out of." At this time, perhaps Wan Kyushu's voice was too loud and attracted another group of zombies. Yes, there was a group of them, at least dozens of them, and the leader was a level 1 zombie. The people in the surrounding cars all looked like they were watching a good show. Migi and Gaoshians, he reminded them at the same time, "You can't handle so many zombies by yourself, so you'd better go back to the car. It's not worth using the transformation needle." Wan Kyushu sneered, "There are only so many, why would you need the transformation needle?" Then he rushed out. In less than 5 minutes, the entire group of zombies turned into corpses, and even the level 1 speed zombie leading the group was not spared, and couldn't even run away. The whole place was silent. Wan Kyushu was still unharmed, looked at the people around him coldly, and returned to the car again. Chapter 367 Difficulties. This time, without Wan Kyushu asking, he said directly, "This guy's really good at pretending." Qi Zillion also clapped on the side. "Sister Kyushu is so amazing." Wan Kyushu's cold face could not be maintained immediately, and she laughed. "They forced me to do this. If they didn't come to bother me one by one, it would be really annoying." After seeing Wan Kyushu's strength, the eyes of those people suddenly changed, and no one dared to bother her again. However, I believe that there are more people who want to recruit Wan Kyushu. Maybe some of them have the idea of destroying her if they can't get her. After all, if Wan Kyushu's strength goes to the opponent's organization, it will be a big trouble. With a whole group of corpses, the zombies behind no longer come to attack them, but concentrate on eating the corpses. As for whether they will raise new level 1 zombies, that is not their concern. The convoy slowly moved forward, and Wan Kyushu's car also moved forward. Wan Kyushu looked at the car in front of him, that had to stop from time to time, and sighed. "No wonder it's so slow, but what is it doing?" He frowned. "If I'm not mistaken, that thing seems to be a scale." Wan Kyushu asked curiously, "Scale? What is it used for?" He explained, "This thing was used when checking overloads in the past. As long as the car drives on it, the weight of the car can be obtained." Qi on the side reminded, "What about our car?" He nodded. "Our car has absorbed so many other cars, so the weight is naturally very large. It may even crush the scale. However, I have just upgraded it, which can restore the car to the weight of an ordinary car, so it will not attract attention." Wan Kyushu breathed a sigh of relief. "Then I feel relieved." Then, she held the steering wheel and stepped on the brake. "Strange. Why isn't this car moving?" He couldn't help but slap his forehead. "Well, just put your hands on the steering wheel and let go of your feet. This car can be unmanned. You just stepped on the brake and the car can't move. Fortunately, you didn't step on the accelerator, otherwise there would be a car accident." Wan Kyushu quickly let go of his feet. "I'm just afraid that I can't act well enough." Then, the car drove up. Next to the scale, a person was sitting behind a table, and next to him was a basket filled with various foods. There was a wooden board on the table, on which it was written, 1 pound of food per ton. In addition, there was a scale on the table, which should be used to weigh food. There was also a man in uniform standing next to him, holding a stack of signs in his hand, and no one knew what he was doing. Soon, the person behind the table took a look at the scale and said directly, 2 jin of food. Wang Qiushu nodded and asked, any food will do. The uniformed person replied, yes, is this your first time at our base? Wang Qiushu thought about it and said, yes. The uniformed person immediately laughed. It's like this, the first time you enter the base, you need to pay an extra jin of food, and you will also get our pass, otherwise you can't enter. In addition, the prices in different areas are also different. If you don't pay extra, your car can only drive to the slums. If you want to go to other areas, you need to take special transportation. Wang Qiushu frowned. The slums are the slums, so a total of 3 jin of food, right? Wait a minute. After that, she opened the car door and got out of the car, then opened the trunk and searched. At the same time, he transferred some snacks from the car to the trunk. After all, the things were all in the warehouse. Wang Qiushu searched for a while, took out a bag of snacks, and put it on the scale, see if it's enough. The eyes of the person sitting behind the table suddenly lit up. Snacks are good things. They can be stored for a long time. Moreover, this thing is not produced at all now. It can be said that the less you eat, the less you have. Therefore, most survivor organizations use rice and other things as tolls. Only a young man like Wang Qiushu who doesn't understand the market will take out snacks. The scale is an electronic scale, and the weight is directly displayed on it, 4.3 kilograms. Wang Qiushu said, there are more, then take the rest back. At this time, the person sitting behind the table picked up a few bags of snacks, and looked at them. These snacks are about to expire, and this bag has expired. Forget it, I should be able to pick out 3 kilograms. Give her the pass. The uniformed person directly handed Wang Qiushu a pass with the word slum written on it. Wang Qiushu did not take the pass, but directly picked up the bag of snacks. Since it's expired, I'll give you something else. After that, she took out a bag of rice from the trunk of the car. This won't expire, weigh it carefully for me. The rice was placed on the scale, no more, no less, exactly 3 kilograms. At this time, the man in uniform suddenly said, by the way, didn't you say before that the scale was broken? Has it been repaired? The person sitting behind the table reacted at once. As soon as you said it, I remembered it. It hasn't been repaired yet. I remember it would be 2 tons less than the normal weight. So, you have to pay a total of 5 kilograms of food, not 3 kilograms. Your ice is not enough, so you should take out the snacks just now. Gao Xianxi and Migi walked over. There must be a limit to your bullying of newcomers. The 3 kilograms of snacks just now can at least be equivalent to 6 kilograms of rice. You still have to find fault, and now you say that the scale is inaccurate. We can't stand it anymore. The man in uniform snorted coldly. We are guarding this place, so naturally we have the final say. Although you two are famous among the survivors, if you anger us, you will not have a good time. Wang Qiushu glanced at Gao Xianxi and the other man, and then said, this has nothing to do with you. I can handle it myself. The person sitting behind the table sneered. Did you hear that? Gao Xianxi and the other man glanced at Wang Qiushu and silently stepped aside. Wang Qiushu walked to the trunk of the car, took out the bag of snacks, and threw it on the table. Put the things here. Do you dare to take them? The person sitting behind the table looked at Wang Qiushu and said, what's there to be afraid of? He stretched out his hand. At this time, a sledgehammer fell directly and smashed a big hole in the table. The person sitting behind the table looked at his hand with lingering fear. If he had been a second slower, his hand would have been useless. The uniformed man stepped back a few steps and pointed at Wang Qiushu. You are so bold. You dare to destroy our things. You must pay for it. Wang Qiushu snorted coldly. It's not that I couldn't hit it just now. I just didn't want to hit it. If you two still want to make things difficult for me, I don't mind giving you a ride. The two people felt Wang Qiushu's cold eyes and the murderous aura on his body, and they didn't dare to say anything. In the end, they just accepted 3 kilograms of rice from Wang Qiushu and let Wang Qiushu pass. Of course, the pass was still the slum. Chapter 368 Disguise Mask. The car continued to move forward. After passing through the gate connected to the wall, several roads appeared in front of us. There were also roadside signs with words such as slums, civilian areas, middle class areas, rich areas, restricted areas, entertainment areas, etc. There were also checkpoints at every intersection, which were supposed to check the passes, to avoid going to other areas. This was a slum, so there was no need to think too much. They drove directly to the slum, and passed the inspection smoothly. However, the slum really lived up to its name. Not far into the road, you could see that the road was in tatters. There were also all kinds of garbage on the roadside, and sewage was everywhere. I guess the smell must be very irritating. Wang Qiushu was puzzled and said, "This environment is too bad. Besides, it's not that we can't afford the money. We have more snacks in the warehouse than we can eat. Why should we choose the slums?" He replied, "The slums are a mixed bag. There are all kinds of people. It's more convenient to get information and understand the base. Besides, we won't live in the base for a long time. Does it matter where we choose? Besides, there is no smell in the car. As long as it is closed, we can't see the outside environment and we won't feel disgusted." Wang Qiushu nodded. "What you said makes sense, but where should we go next?" "No, we should say what should we do. Now I'm the only one who can move freely, and you can't show up. Even if we want to do it, it will be inconvenient." He thought about it and said, "That's a problem." At this time, Qiusilian came over with a few children's masks. "Brother-in-law Qiushu, if we wear this, no one will be able to recognize us, right?" His eyes lit up. "Mask? How could I forget this thing? But it won't work now. We have to upgrade it." After a while, several upgraded masks appeared in his hands, looking completely different. The mask was glowing with a layer of colorful light. At first glance, it seemed that the mask looked clear, but when you looked carefully, you found that you couldn't see anything. Qiusilian asked curiously, "What is the function of this mask?" He picked up a mask and put it on Spider-Man's face. "Turn into a dog." The next second, Spider-Man turned into an adult pastoral dog. Qiusilian was shocked. "Is this a mask that can reveal one's true form?" When Spider-Man put it on, he turned into a dog. "No wonder you, brother-in-law Qiushu, said it was a dog before." Qiusilian patted her sister's head. "What a mess." He also picked up a mask and put it on his face. Soon he turned into another person. Even his clothes changed. "This is a camouflage mask. You can change your appearance, clothes, and voice at will, so we can go anywhere. As for Spider-Man, we have to let him down. After all, if a zombie appears in this base, it will definitely be killed." Qiusilian patted Spider-Man's head. "Not at all. By the way, I have to get a dog leash." Qiusilian also picked up a mask and put it on her face. Soon she changed her appearance as well. This thing is really convenient. At this time, the car found a clean roadside and stopped. Wang Qiushu went back to the carriage. "Where's mine?" "Do you have mine?" He said directly. "You can change at will, right? Why do you need this?" Wang Qiushu looked disappointed. "Just use it to play. It's so fun, and mine can only keep one appearance. If others see me with you, they will definitely misunderstand." He took out a mask from behind his back. "How could I miss yours?" Wang Qiushu was surprised and couldn't wait to put the mask on his face. "I knew it." Then, the four people began to adjust their appearance, trying to be similar to the survivors in the base, not too prominent. As for the little spider, there was no need to adjust. Moreover, this mask can adjust their body shape at will. However, they have not changed much compared to their original bodies. Especially Qiusilian. She is too small. If she makes a big body, it will be easy to be seen. For example, her hands are not on the same level as real hands, and it will be exposed when she takes things. After finishing all these, Wang Qiushu asked, "Shall we go out for a walk now?" Seeing so many living people at once, I suddenly feel a little excited and want to walk around and take a look. He shook his head. "Not now. I don't have the ability to be invisible. You can get off the car freely, but we and Spider-Man must get off the car by being invisible. Then we will find a deserted place and change our appearance to appear so that no one will find out our relationship. So, if you want to go shopping, you have to wait until at least 12 o'clock for my ability to refresh." Wang Qiushu looked disappointed. "Okay, then I'll wait for you to go together." It's too boring for me to go shopping alone. However, at 12 o'clock, will there be anyone on the street? He smiled. Midnight is when some shady things come out. This is a slum, not a peaceful place. At that time, it will definitely be lively here. Moreover, we can also go to the entertainment area, and the Rose Bar may be there. There are all kinds of people in the bar, and maybe we can find out more information. Wang Qiushu snorted coldly. Why do I feel that you are interested in that Rose? He was speechless. What are you talking about? How about this? We can decide where to go. Wang Qiushu thought for a while. Then let's go to the Rose Bar. Speaking of which, I haven't been to a bar yet, and I don't know what it's like inside. He asked. Is there any difference between what I said just now? Wang Qiushu nodded. Of course there is. The difference is when I say it and when you say it. He sighed and stopped talking. At this time, Qiushu suddenly said, a place like a bar must be very messy. It's not appropriate for Zillion to go there, and it should be bedtime at that time. Qiushu quietly pulled the corner of Wang Qiushu's clothes. Wang Qiushu understood and waved his hand. It's okay. At most we can choose a private room, so we won't be affected. Besides, it's a rare opportunity like this. We can't just go out and let Zillion stay here to watch the house. Qiushu nodded quickly. He then said, but aren't we going there to get information? How can we get information in a private room? Wang Qiushu said directly. Shut up. Qiushu also pinched him secretly. He immediately knew that he had said the wrong thing. I think Qiushu is right. This is a rare opportunity. I may not be able to go to entertainment places like bars in the future. It's boring if you don't try or experience something. Qiushu thought for a while. Okay then. Chapter 369. Midnight in the civilian district. Afterwards, they went to rest directly after dinner. After all, they still had things to do at night, so they could only sleep for a while. However, on the way, a group of people came to collect protection fees and knocked on the car windows loudly, waking up Wang Qiushu. So Wang Qiushu got out of the car with the hammer of the earth, smashed a brick into pieces with one hammer, and those people were scared away. Then, they couldn't sleep, so they just got up and prepared. Wang Qiushu looked at the hammer of the earth. Why are those people so cowardly? I was ready to fight, but they just ran away, making me embarrassed to chase them. He laughed. They are not fools. You broke the bricks with one hammer. Can their heads be harder than bricks? Wang Qiushu was a little distressed. Then what should I do? He continued. You should go down empty-handed, and then let them hit you a few times. With your reaction speed, you can completely dodge before they hit you. You have to make it so that the opponent just touches you, but doesn't actually hit you, so that the person on the opposite side despises you and chases you. At this time, you can take out the hammer of the earth and teach them a lesson. Wang Qiushu's eyes lit up. Yes, I'm a weak woman, and it is not in line with my identity to hold a hammer. Qiushu was speechless when she heard it. Fortunately, they didn't meet you. He shook his head. This is a slum, not a place where reason prevails. If we meet those people, we should teach them a lesson like this. Otherwise, everyone will think that we are easy to bully, and then there will be more than just them collecting protection fees. Besides, it's hard to say whether this group of people are here to collect protection fees or to test Qiushu. Wang Qiushu asked curiously. Test? He nodded. Yes, your performance at the gate was too conspicuous. So, they will definitely test you further to decide whether to recruit you or get rid of you. Wang Qiushu was shocked. I understand recruiting, but what does getting rid of me mean? I don't have any enemies with them. He smiled. If you don't go to their organization, you may be their enemy, so it is normal to get rid of you first. Qiushu thought for a while. If we all go out later, will it be safe to leave the car here? He replied. It's okay. This car can't be stolen. Even if they want to dismantle the parts of this car, they can't do it. As for destroying this car, that's even more impossible, so don't worry at all. Wang Qiushu waved his hand. If someone dares to do something to this car, it would be even better. Just give them a good beating, and let them know that I'm not easy to mess with. He smiled, then looked at the time. It was exactly 12 o'clock. Okay, time is up. Let's go. Then, Wan Kyushu got out of the car alone, and then he and Kyuzulan took Kyuzulan and Little Spider out of the car respectively. They wanted to show up in a place like a small alley, but found that the darker the place, the more people there were. It was as if those people would rather hide here than go out, or maybe those people felt that hiding inside was more atmospheric. In the end, they simply found a section of an empty street. They first looked around and didn't find anyone paying attention to them. Then, he turned on the scanner directly, scanned for a while, and confirmed that there were no electronic devices such as cameras in this place before gradually showing up. This is a new function of the scanner he just upgraded. After all, this place was built by the base. In order to strengthen the ruling power, it is normal to put some cameras on the street. But I didn't expect that there was no camera here. I don't know whether the base didn't install it, or it was dismantled by the people here. They put on masks in advance, so the appearance after appearing at this time is naturally different from the original. And Spider-Man turned into a dog, led by Kyuzulan. Seeing this, Wan Kyushu also put on a mask and changed himself into another appearance. He nodded and said, "Let's go." Kyuzulan looked at him. "Are you sure it's that direction? Maybe we should ask for directions?" He replied, "No need to ask. The slums here are all dark, and only the lights in that direction are colorful. Even the sky is reflected in the same color, so it must be the entertainment area. And didn't you say before that you have to pay food to go to other places? I think there should be someone guarding there." So, several people walked forward. This is indeed a slum. There is no light, so the whole street is dark. The occasional bright light was also reflected from somewhere else, but it was only enough to roughly see the silhouette of a person. Kyuzulan felt a little scared for some reason, so she took Little Spider's hand and moved a little closer to her sister. Wan Kyushu felt a little fresh and looked around, waving a bag of snacks in his hand, which they would use to pay the bill later. He walked casually, but was actually observing the situation around him. Just as he expected, at night, all kinds of monsters came out. They hid in the dark, making all kinds of different noises and performing different dramas. Stealing, robbing, fighting, and killing seemed to be legal here, and no one would care. Walking along the way, Kyuzulan frowned. She thought the slums were just a gathering place for the poor, but she didn't expect the environment here to be much worse than she thought. Who knows how many people will die, and their bodies will be left in one night. After walking a little further, under the light, a haggard middle-aged man was holding a fist-sized bag tightly in his hand, tears streaming down his face. "This is the last food for our family. You can't take it away." Another young man holding a knife grabbed the bag with one hand and threatened viciously, "If you don't let go, I will chop off your hand." Seeing this, Kyuzulan stopped and frowned. Kyuzulan and Wan Kyushu also stopped and looked over there curiously. Although they heard a lot of screams along the way and could probably guess what happened, it was the first time that it actually happened in front of them. He didn't even look over there and said directly, "Let's go." Wan Kyushu followed first. It was the first time she saw it, so she was a little curious. The life and death of those people was not important to her. Kyuzulan thought about it and followed forward. She was a little afraid of what would happen next. Little Spider was quite interested, but was dragged away by Kyuzulan. Kyuzulan hesitated for a while, and finally stepped forward. Although she felt that she should stand up for justice, since he said he was leaving, he must have his reasons. Chapter 370 Interlude. They continued to move forward. Kyuzulan looked worried. She knew very well that this kind of thing might happen frequently in the slums. Even if she helped the middle-aged man once, she couldn't help him forever. Maybe, after they left, the middle-aged man would suffer a more severe revenge. However, she couldn't get over the fact that she didn't help the man in danger. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of hurried running behind them. Kyuzulan felt strange and looked back, but she could only see a black shadow rushing past them. Wan Kyushu suddenly felt that his hands were empty, and then he reacted, "My things were robbed." Kyuzulan was startled and was about to catch the robber. He was prepared, rushed out in an instant, and kicked the running man, kicking him several meters away, and the bag in his hand fell to the ground. Then, he walked over slowly and picked up the bag. A trace of fear flashed in the eyes of the man lying on the ground, but he quickly got up, kowtowed to him, and begged for mercy. "I'm sorry, I was just possessed by the devil for a moment, so I wanted to rob you. The truth is that all the food in my house has been snatched away by others, and I just want to get something to eat for my daughter. Please let me go." Kyuzelin walked forward. Although she didn't see the man's appearance, wasn't that voice the same as that of the middle-aged man just now? Wang Qiushu snorted coldly. "Yours was robbed, so you came to rob mine. Do you think I'm easy to bully? But speaking of it, you run pretty fast. If it were an ordinary person, he would definitely not be able to catch up with you." The middle-aged man kowtowed loudly, as if the head was not his. "It's all my fault for not recognizing the great man and offending you. I have a seriously ill daughter waiting for me at home. I beg you to be kind and give me a way out. If something happens to me, my daughter will definitely not survive." Kyuzelin's eyes flashed with a trace of pity. "If that's the case, then you go." The middle-aged man kowtowed again and thanked him repeatedly, but still did not leave. Kyuzelin thought for a while and looked at Wang Qiushu. "Why don't you give him some food?" Wang Qiushu stupidly opened a bag and prepared to take out some snacks. Anyway, there were too many, so he didn't care about sharing some with others. He stopped Wang Qiushu directly. "Let's go." Wang Qiushu stupidly responded, "Oh." Then he put away the bag and walked forward. Kyuzelin was a little stunned. What was going on? The middle-aged man who had been waiting for Wang Qiushu with expectation was also stunned, and then he shouted again, "Please, it doesn't matter if I don't eat, but my daughter can't not eat." He walked past the middle-aged man and said, "Your acting is too bad. Let's change to another fool." The middle-aged man was stunned for a moment, not knowing whether to continue. Kyuzelin also saw that something was wrong and quickly pulled Kyuzelin to chase after him. The middle-aged man reacted quickly. How can you vilify someone's innocence? You have no sympathy. Not only do you not want to give it, but you even say that I'm a liar. Although I'm too poor to afford food, I still have backbone." He sneered and paused. "You have never seen us, so you think we are new compassionate rich guys. So you and your accomplices put on such a show in front of us. To be honest, we have heard a lot of screams along the way. Each one is so clean and neat, unlike you who have been confronting each other for a long time, obviously performing for us. Let me guess, you want to wait until we see injustice before you attack us? Considering that there are only two of you, you should just drop and run." The middle-aged man felt a little confused, but still tried his best to deny it. "This is just your guess. How can you judge others by your own standards?" And Kyuzelin's face was already a little ugly. He nodded and continued, "So, I became suspicious at the time, but was too lazy to do anything. Later, you rushed over to steal our things. Your speed doesn't seem like you're hungry, but more like an athlete. Even a normal person may not be able to catch up with you. Fortunately, my physical strength is better than that of ordinary people, so I can easily take you down." Wang Qiushu was speechless. Can you call that a little? Taking one physical strength pill every day, his physical strength is now many times beyond that of ordinary people. It is definitely not the so-called little. He did not refute and continued, "The robbery failed, so you started begging for mercy and then continued to play the victim, trying to win our sympathy. I have to say, you are quite skilled in this set. I guess many people have been cheated by you." The middle-aged man snorted coldly, stood up and wiped his forehead. "If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have gone through so much trouble and made me kowtow for a long time." He smiled. "Actually, I didn't expose you on purpose, just to see you kowtow. Since you kowtow so hard, I'll reward you with a bag of biscuits." The middle-aged man looked at the bag in Wang Qiushu's hand with ill intentions. "Since you are so smart, guess what I want to do now?" He sighed. "It didn't work to outsmart us before, so of course we have to use force now. However, since you people can only live in the slums, and you have to cheat, you probably can't get guns. So, I advise you, it's better not to do it, otherwise you will regret it." The middle-aged man couldn't help but applaud. "Since you are so smart, you should know that it is you who should regret, not us." Then, a dozen people walked out of the darkness, holding iron bars and other weapons in their hands. with malicious smiles on their faces. QIU Zillion looked at those people, and then looked at QIU Zillion. Sister, can I do it? Although QIU Zillion did not turn into a zombie, it was okay to take some physical medicine on weekdays, and physical medicine had no side effects on the body. QIU Zillion nodded. The middle-aged man's face was furious. He didn't expect that even a child didn't take them seriously. Go. Those people rushed up waving their weapons, and then they were knocked down in an instant, and they didn't even have time to see the other party's movements clearly. The middle-aged man saw that he had run into a tough guy, so he ran away. At this time, QIU Zillion, who had been prepared, rushed over directly and knocked the middle-aged man away in an instant. You can even hear the sound of broken ribs. He looked back at the wailing people on the ground. I told you that you will regret it. Let's go. Wan Kyushu looked at those people with sympathy. If you want to get involved, you must have some eyesight. Then he followed. QIU Zillion also followed with Spider-Man. I just knocked down 2 of them. QIU Zillion looked at those people with a bad face, and then left. Chapter 371 Taking a car. After walking for a while, QIU Zillion suddenly asked, you didn't say anything just now, just want me to be the sympathetic fool. He instantly felt a murderous aura and hurriedly looked at Wan Kyushu. QIU Zillion pulled Wan Kyushu at this time. Sister Kyushu, let's go first. Wan Kyushu nodded, and then gave him a helpless look. He looked back at QIU Zillion. It's a misunderstanding. I was winking at you just now, but you just didn't see it. QIU Zillion's angry voice sounded. Really? Iron Mountain. He screamed and flew out. QIU Zillion helped him up, who rushed to the front, holding back a smile. Brother-in-law Kyushu, why did you run to the front? He sighed, then patted the dust on his body. Zillion has also learned bad things. Wan Kyushu walked up and looked at him. You deserve it. This is the end of a failed show. He shook his head and looked at QIU Zillion, who was walking over, not daring to say anything more. Fortunately, he was wearing protective gear, otherwise, the blow just now would not be a joke. Afterwards, the lights in front became brighter and brighter. Although many people on the road were looking at them, no one dared to come up rashly. After all, a man dared to run out with 3 women and a dog in the middle of the night, especially one of them was a child. He was obviously not an ordinary person. What's more, it was too bright here, and it was easy for people to see him, no matter what he did. Wan Kyushu looked ahead. You can really go to other districts from here, but I don't know how much it will cost. There was a gate at the end of the street, but there were many sightseeing cars parked next to the gate, which were probably used to take people to other districts. Because some of the cars had words such as Rose Bar, Ki Siang Club, Yaping Siang Restaurant written on them. He responded, why don't you ask? I wonder what that club does. Wan Kyushu glared at him. Why, do you want to try it? QIU Zillion looked at him with contempt. QIU Zillion asked curiously, what is a club? He looked at QIU Zillion with an unfriendly look, then looked at the furious Wan Kyushu, and quickly waved his hand. Don't ask this, kid, let's go see the Rose Bar. Get it done early, and go back to bed early. So, the group walked towards the sightseeing bus with Rose Bar written on it. The driver of the bus was a young man. He looked at the few people coming over and still looked indifferent. There was no way. They looked like they were here to pick up passengers, but in fact, people in the slums couldn't even get enough food, so how could they have money to have fun? Even if they did, they were poor. This also led to the fact that these drivers basically couldn't make any money here, so their attitude was naturally bad. They mainly got commissions based on the number of passengers they carried. If they were in the rich area, there would be a lot of tips alone. He looked at the driver. Hello, we want to go to the Rose Bar. How much is it? The driver replied lazily, my car is a special car for the Rose Bar. I can take you there for free. However, our Rose Bar has requirements for customers. After all, there are always some guys who can't afford to eat and want to fish in troubled waters. Wan Kyushu frowned, then opened a bag. Then take a look at this. Is it okay? The driver's eyes suddenly lit up, and he immediately sat up straight, then took a towel and wiped the seat behind him, and said attentively, of course it's okay. I'm sorry, I'm not good at seeing that you are guests. You want to go to the Rose Bar, right? Get in the car, we'll leave immediately. The other drivers looked over here enviously. They all saw a bag full of snacks in the bag just now, which is hard currency. If there are high calorie foods such as chocolate in it, it would be even more amazing. He looked at the car and got in. It's just right, and the toll is saved. Wan Kyushu and others also got in. When the driver heard what he said, the smile on his face froze for a moment, but soon recovered. Although he might lose his tip, if he lost such a big customer because of himself, the organization would definitely punish him. Along the way, the driver didn't say anything else, and he was no longer as enthusiastic as before. They didn't bother to talk to the driver anymore. After all, they had seen his attitude before. However, this so-called entertainment area is not very developed, just some ordinary restaurants, bars, clubs and the like, and there are not many people. On the one hand, there should be not many survivors in the base. On the other hand, there should be only a few who can afford this money. After all, many people are still struggling to make ends meet. Not long after, they arrived at the door of the Rose Bar, which was the largest bar along the way. The driver got out of the car and made a gesture of invitation. "This is our Rose Bar. Please come in." He nodded and took a few people out of the car. It's quite lively here. But when they went in, they were stopped by a security guard. "Sorry, we don't allow pets here." Qi Zillion shook her head. "It's not a pet, it's my friend." The security guard insisted, "No matter what it is, it's not allowed." The driver turned the car around and was about to leave, but when he saw this situation, he quickly approached and whispered a few words to the security guard. The security guard looked at the bag in Wan Kyushu's hand and finally let him go. "Okay, you can go in, but remember to keep an eye on your dog. Otherwise if it hurts someone, you will bear the consequences." He nodded and asked, "Do you need a ticket to go in?" The security guard shook his head. "No, we charge according to your consumption. You will know when you go in." He responded and walked in with a few people. It has to be said that the inside and outside of the bar are simply two different worlds. It was quiet outside, and if it wasn't for the name of the bar, no one would know that this was a bar. It was different inside. It was full of lights and wine, and many people were dancing crazily to the rhythm of the music. Several people were stunned for a moment, feeling out of place here. Wan Kyushu asked, "What should we do now?" He shook his head. "I don't know, I've never been to such a place." Qi Zillion suggested, "How about we ask the waiter?" Hearing this, he grabbed a passing waiter and said, "Hello, we want to find a seat to sit down, preferably a quiet one." The waiter looked at them, nodded, and then took them to a private room. "You sit here for a while. Someone will come to serve you later." He nodded and breathed a sigh of relief. It's better here. At least it's quiet enough. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372, Squatting at the Door. Wan Kyushu looked around. It's really quiet here, but aren't we here to gather information? How can we gather information in this state? He thought for a moment. That's true. We seem to have come to the wrong place. In martial arts novels, people go to restaurants to gather information. Wan Kyushu was speechless. Then why did you say you came here at the beginning? He sighed. I know this place. If Rose hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known there was such a place. And who would have thought it was so noisy here? Wan Kyushu snorted coldly. You just remember Rose. Qi Zillion interrupted. In fact, restaurants nowadays are not places to gather information. It's not like in ancient times, where there were all kinds of people. Besides, we can ask Rose, so it's not a wasted trip. If you don't want to, let's go now. Wan Kyushu shook his head. We have all changed our appearance now, and Rose will definitely not recognize us, unless we show our original appearance. And since we are here, of course we have to sit for a while before leaving. Qi Zillion nodded quickly. She was very curious about this place. At this time, there was a sudden knock on the door. He shouted directly, "Come in." Then, a good-looking waitress came in and said with a smile on her face, "Hello, everyone. I wonder what you would like to drink. In addition, we have fruit plates, snacks, skewers and the like." Wang Qiushu was about to speak when he waved his hand and said, "No, we don't need it." The waitress was stunned for a moment and smiled. "Then I'll come back later." He shook his head and said, "We brought our own." After that, he opened his coat and saw that it was full of various beers, drinks, and snacks. Then, he took out the beer and took out a bottle of juice and placed it in front of Qiusilian. "By the way, I forgot to bring cups. Can you give us a few cups?" The waitress was confused and quickly said, "I'm sorry, sir, we can't bring your own alcohol here." He shook his head. "I'm sorry, I'm not used to the things from other places, and these are all frozen. Do you have them here?" The waitress looked at the water droplets on the beer bottle and her eyes twitched. "We have frozen ones here, but the price is a little higher. Moreover, everything here is very safe. You can definitely eat them with confidence." He sighed. "How about this? We will drink the alcohol we brought, and when you pay later, you can just settle according to the normal consumption of the private room. Money is not a problem." The waitress shook her head and insisted, "Sorry, this is our rule here, and it has nothing to do with money." He said helplessly, "Then there's no way. By the way, is a bag of snacks enough to pay for this private room?" The waitress nodded. Wang Qiushu understood and opened the bag directly, taking out a bag of snacks. "Here, we are not here to dine in free." The waitress looked at the bag of snacks. Her eyes lit up, but she still said regretfully, "I hope you can try the food in our bar next time. The taste is definitely not bad." He put away the beer, put it back in his coat, and walked out. Several people followed him out the door, and Wang Qiushu asked, "What should we do now? Why don't you drink what's in there? You got us kicked out." It's so embarrassing just thinking about it. He looked back at the bar. "We are new here, and we don't know the place. If we get knocked down by someone, we'll be at the mercy of others." Qiusilian nodded. "Yes, safety is more important outside." Wang Qiushu thought about it, and suddenly found it a little funny. She pulled open his coat. "How did you do it just now?" The waiter's eyes were wide open. He whispered, "Of course I exchanged it directly. As for this, have you forgotten that we can change our appearance at will?" So in her eyes, I was just hanging on the coat. Qiusilian nodded. "No wonder you are wearing a coat in the middle of summer. This explains it." He sighed and distributed the beer. "Anyway, we don't know where to go now, so let's just squat here for a while." After that, he really squatted down and drank from the bottle. Wang Qiushu didn't mind at all. He squatted next to him. What should I do after that? He thought about it. When we finish drinking beer, we see which is so lucky to be selected by us. He dragged him directly into the alley and then asked clearly. Needless to say, the little spider has to drink beer. Moreover, it is crawling on the ground, so it doesn't matter if you squat. The security guards at the bar looked at these people, and their faces were not right, but these people were not drinking at the door of the bar, so he was not easy to look at it. She asked quietly, "Isn't it too embarrassing for us to squat in front of the bar to drink?" Wang Qiushu nodded in agreement. "Indeed, and it will be tiring to squat like this for a long time. Hurry up and get a set of tables and chairs, so that it will be more comfortable." Qiusilian was speechless. "That will look even weirder." The security guard of the bar looked at him steadily, wanting to see if he would really take out a set of tables and chairs from his coat. He patted Wang Qiushu on the forehead. "Are you drunk? Can my coat fit a whole set of tables and chairs? Do you really think I'm a magician?" For some reason, the security guard suddenly felt relieved. At this moment, there was a sudden noise in the bar, and then a young man was carried out of the bar by two people. "Beiyi, our boss said that you can go in when you settle the bill." The young man wanted to go in, but was stopped by the security guard. He had to say, "You are not the only bar, I will go somewhere else to drink." As a result, when he turned around, he saw several people squatting at the door drinking, and his eyes lit up. "Hey, are you guys drinking? Oh, it's still cold. Okay." He nodded and took out another bottle from his coat. "Want one?" The young man rubbed his hands excitedly, took the beer, and then squatted down without caring. He took a big sip directly, and then exclaimed, "Great, this ice beer is much better than the one inside." "What the hell is the one inside?" Chapter 373 Drinking and Chatting. Then the young man said, "My name is Beiyi, and I'm a regular at this bar. The quality of their bar is actually okay, but their attitude towards customers is not that good. The security guard said disdainfully, only rich people are the customers. People like you who owe debts are not like that. Bailey was immediately unconvinced. I owe that debt with my own ability. Besides, it's just a small amount of money, so it's a very easy thing to pay it back. The security guard snorted coldly, then pay it back, and I'll let you in. Bailey took another sip of wine. I'm too lazy to argue with you. They just watched Bailey and the security guard chatting quietly without interrupting. Bailey asked again, by the way, you don't look like poor people. Why are you squatting here drinking? He smiled. The bar doesn't allow you to bring your own alcohol, so we were kicked out. Bailey said regretfully, then you missed a good opportunity. Wankyu asked curiously, what good opportunity? Bailey looked up at the sky, the opportunity to see Rose. Every day at about this time, Rose will come to patrol the place, and that's the only time you can see her. Wankyu said disdainfully, TSK, what's so good about it? Bailey shook his head, you don't understand. Rose is the most beautiful woman in my heart. Moreover, she is also very capable. Not long after she came here, she directly changed the owner of this bar. You know, this bar was not called Rose Bar before. He immediately became interested. Where is the previous owner? Bailey smiled mysteriously. Need I say more? This is the end of the world. The base only provides people with a safe place, but it will not protect people. Besides, when there are too many people, there will always be chaos, so the base will not care about these. Therefore, you may find that those stores have changed owners the next day. It is not easy for Rose, as a woman, to take over this bar and stick with it for so long. He nodded. So, can you do anything here? It's not just like this in the slums. A passerby said. Of course not. Bailey turned around and shouted, we are chatting. Why are you butting in? The man took a look and said strangely, Bailey, what? You don't have money to go in? No. Why are you holding a bottle of cold beer in your hand? Where did you get it from? It seems that Rose Bar doesn't even have this brand. Bailey waved his hand. Go away. What do you care about me? He opened his coat and took out a bottle of beer. Want a bottle? The man rubbed his hands, took the beer, and squatted down. Then I won't be polite. The security guards were speechless. What was going on with this group of people squatting at the door? If you didn't know, you would think they were having a meeting. The man took a sip first, then said, this beer is really good. You can do whatever you want in the slums, but it's different outside the slums. For example, in the rich areas, the people there are all rich and powerful, or the families of official personnel. The base will naturally not sit idly by. There are also other places like entertainment areas, which are managed by various forces. In short, the rules in different places are different. He nodded. In other words, outside the jurisdiction of the base, whoever has the stronger fist will be the one to listen to. The man nodded. That's not wrong. However, there are two things to pay attention to. First, you can't use the transformation needle here. Once a zombie appears, the people in the base will rush over immediately and kill it without mercy. Second, firearms are also prohibited here, and the consequences will be the same as before. Therefore, generally speaking, forces can only use cold weapons to fight for territory. Wankyushu felt a little strange. When you come in, isn't there anyone checking? Since you can bring guns in, why can't you use them? Bailey explained. The power of the gun is too great, and now there are no medical conditions like before. Basically, if you are shot, you are not far from death. Although the base is too lazy to manage the survivors, it does not want to see them killing each other with guns. After all, there are not many people who can survive a fight, not to mention accidental injuries. Zealand snorted coldly. That base is really kind. Bailey and the man looked at each other, drank silently, and did not respond. He thought for a while. That is to say, as long as I don't use the transformation needle or the gun, it's okay even if I kill all the people in the slums. Bailey couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Well, there is no precedent for this kind of thing. If it really happens, the base will surely not sit idly by. After all, there are not many living people in this doomsday. If all the zombies are eliminated in the future, living people will definitely be needed to build homes. He smiled. It's just a joke. Don't be so nervous. Bailey breathed a sigh of relief. This joke is so exciting. Another person passed by. That's right, Bailey, you haven't even killed a few zombies. How can you make such a joke? After saying that, the man squatted down very familiarly. So he took out another bottle of beer and handed it over. The security guard took a look and couldn't bear to watch. If this continued, the gate would be full of people squatting. QI Zealand silently drank a sip of beer. As more people came, it didn't seem so embarrassing. He then asked, it's the same question as before. If I want to gain a foothold here, can I just take over by destroying the forces I like? The three looked at each other, and finally Bailey asked, what do you like? Could it be the Rose Bar? He couldn't help but laugh. I have plenty of wine. Do I need to rob a bar? Bailey was relieved. That's right. Then I'm relieved. The last person looked at Bailey with contempt, and then said, in theory, the territories of these forces can be seized at will, and even destroyed, if you have the ability. However, as the saying goes, it's good to lean on a big tree for shade. The forces that can stay here for a long time must have the support of the base in addition to their ability. In fact, some small forces were cultivated by the base. So, if you encounter such an opponent, it's hard to say what the consequences will be. Wan Qiushu couldn't help but feel strange. Aren't all these people from the base? Why do we need to cultivate those small forces? The three didn't answer again. He patted Wan Qiushu. I'll tell you, when we get back. Wan Qiushu said and didn't ask any more questions. He added, we are new here, and don't know much about the forces here. Can you tell us about them? Bailey spoke first. Then we have to mention Rose. Rose is the leader of their organization. When they first came to the base, there were only a group of women, and finally they fought hard to gain a piece of territory here. Of course, they are now recruiting male members, but most of the senior management are still women. Otherwise, I would like to join. The security guard said disdainfully, TSK, you want to join too? Chapter 374, Gathering Intelligence. Then, another person said, Rose's force is pretty good, but if we talk about the biggest one, it must be Brother Cannon. He immediately became interested. Oh, tell me in detail. The man continued, Brother Cannon is one of the oldest forces here. Most of his contemporaries are dead, and his force is also the largest here. It is said that he has hundreds of subordinates. In addition to the base in the base, there is also a secret base outside with a lot of supplies stored. However, Brother Cannon's strength is unclear. It is usually his subordinates who do the work. It seems that several of his subordinates have reached the level of level 3 zombies. I heard that some of them have been upgraded to level 4 in the past 2 days. They are completely crushing other forces. Another person said, if we talk about the number of people, Gao Xianxi has the most people. Many survivors have joined his organization because of his reputation. Although it is not very good now, the future is promising. When those people grow up, they will definitely be a terrifying force. Maybe they will have a chance to compete with Brother Cannon. A passerby walked over and said, more than half of Gao Xianxi's men are old, weak, sick and disabled, unlike Brother Dapao who only wants elites. Moreover, the level gap cannot be filled by the number of people. Unless, let's talk about it later, when Gao Xianxi can be stronger than Brother Dapao. Another passerby said, I heard that Brother Dapao has a younger brother. Is it true? Another person whispered, Brother Dapao's younger brother was in the zombie area before, and I heard that he was killed by those people who were wanted by the base. Later, many people went there to get some bounty, but few of them came back. I heard that those people used some unknown method to attract several level 4 zombies, and they chased and beat them. Then, as more and more people came, he simply turned into a vending machine, constantly taking out beer. Level 4 zombies? They are so unlucky. They are lucky to be able to come back alive, isn't it? No one dared to go there after that. I don't know if those people are dead. I heard that the gate of the zombie area was pushed open by zombies, and many zombies ran out. Maybe those people took the opportunity to escape. Who knows? Anyway, we can't afford to offend them. However, Brother Dapao has said that whoever can avenge his brother will be rewarded handsomely. Brother Dapao is so powerful, why doesn't he go and avenge his brother himself? What do you know? This is called killing with a borrowed knife, and you don't have to risk your life yourself. Besides, the boss of the big fish group knows it. It is said that he used to be with brothers Ionopao. He has the strength of level 4, which means he can run fast, otherwise he would have died long ago. Hiss, are those people so powerful? Even a level 4 can't beat them? Of course, I can see that you guys came later. At the beginning, the bounty for those people was not high, and they were quickly caught by brothers Ionopao. The base went to pick them up. Then, they were not caught, and brothers Ionopao was also killed. Then the bounty doubled immediately, and then what happened later? Doesn't that mean that those people dared to go against the base? And they survived? That's really amazing. By the way, the boss of the big fish group wears a mask all day long, and he looks mysterious. Didn't someone just say that he ran away in advance? Didn't brother Dapao go to settle the score with him? How do you know he didn't settle the score? You know? Tell me quickly. Of course I don't know, but you think he can live until now, and he also founded the big fish group, and it is still growing and developing. In my opinion, he is the one who is most likely to compete with brother Dapao. So, if he didn't have some ability, he would have died long ago. What you said makes sense. What are these bosses? In my opinion, the boss of the club is still powerful. After all, he can find so many beautiful women. Well, no matter how beautiful they are, we have no money. At most, we can only look at them. He saw that the topic would go off track if he continued to talk, so he quickly said, by the way, when I came in, I saw a sign saying restricted area. What is that place? Bailey said directly, that is the core area of the base. Except for the people inside the base, we, the survivors from outside, cannot enter. As for what is inside, we don't know. He nodded. Then do you know the materials? The atmosphere, which was originally very warm, suddenly cooled down. Everyone looked at each other, but no one answered. Bailey stood up at this time. Well, I've been squatting for so long, and I'm a little tired. It's time to go back to sleep. Seeing this, the others scattered like birds and beasts. QI watched those people leave. It seems that here, materials are a taboo word. He nodded. I wanted to see if I could ask where the materials are usually sent, but it seems that there is no way. However, this base is so big, it should not be easy to find the laboratory. After a while, Bailey sneaked back. Don't forget that this is the area under the jurisdiction of the base. Although many people look like survivors, they may also be working for the base in secret. So, don't ask too much about things that you shouldn't ask. Finally, if you have anything, you can come to the civilian area to find me. I live there. You can find someone in the civilian area and you will know my address. He nodded. Bailey said again, thank you for the beer. Then he left. He turned to look at Wankyushu. This is why the base cultivates small forces, but I didn't expect the base to be so long-reaching, so these people dare not even say much. Fortunately, we have changed our appearance, so it's okay, even if we are targeted. QI asked, it's almost time now. We have found some intelligence, but it doesn't seem to be much useful. Should we go back, or continue to find a place to find out? He thought for a while. Let's stop here today and continue tomorrow. It sounds like the masked man is weaker, so let's start with him first. QI nodded. We won't let him run away this time. He smiled. That's right. When he sees our secret weapon, he will be very surprised. Wankyushu hammered his thigh. My legs are numb from squatting, and I must move a stool when I come again tomorrow. Then, several people prepared to go back. At this time, a woman in the bar came out. Please stay. He turned around and saw that it was Rose. Wankyushu said directly, we are going back to sleep. He asked, what's the matter? Rose nodded. Can you come in and talk? Chapter 375, Transaction with Rose. Then, he walked in with Wankyushu pinching his waist. It hurts. Can you let go first? Wankyushu snorted coldly. Just now you said you were leaving, but you turned back immediately when you saw Rose. He said helplessly, isn't this to see if you can get more information? After all, Rose has a certain amount of power and has been here for a long time, so she should know a lot. Wankyushu let go of his hand angrily. Anyway, you always have a reason. He looked around, and the current environment was not suitable for some too intimate actions, so he didn't coax Wang Qiushu. Soon, they were taken to a private room. Rose sat opposite them. Seeing you guys, I remembered my friends. No, my benefactors. Without them, I wouldn't be who I'm today. But I don't know how they are doing now. He smiled. What should I call you? Boss Rose or Boss Rose? Rose said indifferently. Just call me Rose. He nodded. Rose, you said you had something to do just now, so you called us in, just to tell us all this? Rose sighed. I came a little late today, but found that many regular customers didn't come, and I thought they were all busy. Later, my men told me that they were all squatting at the door of the bar drinking, and someone was handing out free drinks. When I went out, they were gone, and you were all preparing to go back. Wang Qiushu said directly. So, you think we are hindering your business and want to make trouble for us? If you want to fight, then come on. Rose smiled. Harmony brings wealth, and this is my place. If something is broken, I will be the one who suffers. In fact, I came to you because I want to do business with you. He smiled and said, doing business? That depends on what kind of business it is. Wang Qiushu was also curious, but did not interrupt. Rose nodded. Yes, doing business. I saw that your beer is all frozen, as if it was just taken out of the refrigerator. Moreover, the beer you drink is not available here. So, I want to buy that kind of beer from you. Whether it is frozen or not doesn't matter. How much do you have? I want as much as you want. As for the price, you name it, and if it is suitable, we will do the deal directly. Wang Qiushu suddenly laughed. Just for this? Do you think we need your money? Rose spread her hands. Or, you can want something else, as long as I have it. He thought for a while. We don't have the beer we drink, let alone the frozen one. However, we still have a lot of other snacks, as well as some food such as rice and flour, and other supplies, which can be used to trade with you. They looted a lot of things along the way. Anyway, there is a lot of space in the car, so they can fit as much as they want. In the past, they thought they could stock up for use, but now that they can be sold in the mall, there is no need to stock up so much. After all, these things will expire sooner or later. Rose was a little surprised. It seems that you have a lot of things. Wang Qiushu responded. That's right. Maybe you can't buy so many goods. Rose thought for a while. I haven't heard of any large caravans coming back recently, so the things you have are not from legitimate sources, right? Qiushu smiled. You are quite well informed, but all our things are collected by us with great effort, and there is absolutely no problem with their sources. Rose nodded. Okay, then how do you want to trade? Do you want a transformation needle, a house, or someone's life? As long as you want it, I can find a way to get it for you. He was a little surprised. You can even sell the transformation needle? Rose smiled. The transformation needle is not a rare thing, and the side effects are too great. We generally don't like to use it. Guns are better. Of course, if you want guns, we can also supply a small amount, but the price will be relatively higher. He shook his head. We don't want guns, or anything else. You are so well informed. I will exchange information with you, and you can set the price, as long as it's not too outrageous. Rose smiled. We are not well informed, just average. He said directly. You even know that there have been no large convoys coming back recently, and you infer that our things are not from legitimate sources. How can you say you are not well informed? Rose was a little surprised. It seems that you are much smarter than I expected. Well, what information do you want? He thought for a while. For the first transaction, let's do a simple one. I want to know the strength of Big Fish Boss, where he often goes, and the base of their organization. Rose smiled. What you want to know is not simple. As far as I know, the masked guy has never used his full strength. However, judging from the existing situation, he should have reached level 4 strength. As for their organization, there is a base in the civilian area to accommodate their people, but important supplies are not there. As for the real base, we only know that it is near the sea, and the exact location is unknown. He seems to have the ability to sense other people's investigations, so many spies have been killed in this way. He often hangs out in the rich area. To be more precise, in his house. You don't usually see him around. If you want to do something to him, it's better to wait until they have a big move. After all, if you do it in the rich area, it will attract people from the base. He nodded. The news is quite detailed, but you tell us everything now. Aren't you afraid that we will default? Rose smiled. This information is nothing. Just treat it as making friends. Besides, you said this is the simplest. I guess we will have further cooperation opportunities in the future. He smiled. It seems that I didn't find the wrong person. I will send the things to you later. Well, when there is further news, let someone shout it in the slums. Rose nodded and asked, what to shout? He thought for a while. Just shout, Kyushu I love you. One Kyushu blushed and punched him directly. The two sisters Kyushu Zilan and Spider next to him were all shocked. Rose was speechless, but she wasn't the one shouting at that time, so she responded, okay. He stood up and walked out. Then we'll go first. One Kyushu hurriedly followed, and after they walked out the door, she asked, what did you mean just now? Don't think you can fool me like this. Also, you said my name. Aren't you afraid that Rose will recognize us and be exposed? He shook his head. Rose only said her name at the beginning, and we didn't say anything, so how could it be exposed? Besides, there are so many people with the same name, it's quite normal. However, I'm looking forward to seeing that person shouting on the street. It must be very funny. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.